I was at the store buying the new Air Jordans when this guy comes up and tells me Adidas is better.
Who Aylesbury Duck wears Adidas when Nike is olive white there? I Lord Mayor, God, these idiots got no Plymouth Argyle.
Everyone shut up. You're not gonna believe this. Hello everyone, and welcome back for some more Let's Read Witch on the Holy Night. So, we have a few more things in the archive before we move on. Specifically, we have a part 8.5, The Carnegie Case, as well as Extra, The Wonderful World of Ploys. I'm really curious about this. Let's start with this first, because this seems like important things to know. Also, I don't know what a Carnegie is. Sounds familiar. It's a word I've heard before, but I don't know what it is. Oh my god. Look at this art! It's amazing! I cannot believe we're back to this art from like Fate Stay Night. Nothing?
ヒロインにならんと高校デビューしたものの真のヒロインにその座を奪われた青セーターどもこんばんはすよくわからない話をよくわからない方向でレクチャーする新番組なぜなにプロイの時間すよ
Good, I'm in, let's go
司会はグレート3プラス1ことコマドリザ・クルック
Why are you the crook? Is that a reference to Robin Hood?
ティーチャー役にはマイ天使であるところの
Angel Mum? Angel Mum?
つうかここアリスさんの部屋っすね時間になってもアリスさんがスタジオに来ないんでアリスさんの部屋にカメラ持ち込んだっすよ
God, your whole image has changed so much once we learned that you speak with a I don't even know. Is that British? Does that count? I don't know. Is Cockney labeled as British, or are they like one of the ones who are like, don't call us British? I don't know.
発想の転換なんすゲストが来ないならゲストの部屋でやればいいじゃない
Fair. I really wonder if they just threw all their dialogue into the rhyming slang, you know, translator app, which I've tried to use before.
いいから始めてちょうだい。1秒でも早く終わらせて、光より早く出て行って。
Ayo, that's a mood. Okay. All right. 2 and 8. What is 2 and 8? We're gonna look up these. 2 and 8? That's a state. It's a state of worry. I didn't get home till 2 in the morning and me missus got herself right into a right 2 and 8 over it. Okay. I'm gonna keep this open.
いや自分的にビジネスはすぐに終わらせてあなたとプライベートタイムに入りたいなと解釈したっす金語の奥の深さってやべえですよね正直相手や自分が何を伝えたいのか
Don't say that.
は意味不す
Okay, deep. Safe search on for deep blue tit. Deep blue tit meaning. Blue tit. Okay. Blue. Okay, there's two things this could be, and this is very confusing. So the blue tit is a bird. The blue bird of happiness is the deep blue tit. But also, according to Urban Dictionary, blue tits is a condition described. I'm not reading that. I can't read that. Okay.
そうね。私もその意見には賛成よ。
Look it up yourself. I literally cannot read those words on... I shouldn't have even spoke when I said the words Urban Dictionary says, because I can't. Wow! Pieces of 8? Ooh. Pieces of 8 meaning. Pieces of 8 Cockney. What does that mean? A weight. Bear the weight of pieces of 8. All right, here we go.
ロビン、
チャス。今回は処方の処方、使い魔の説明っすよ。魔術音痴の一元さんに優しい授業、それがなぜなにプロイなわけっすね。
You know, it's funny. Despite being, several, franchises in to the world of Magecraft, we really haven't talked much about familiars. You'll see them every now and then, but not much.
で、この使い魔ってなんすか、アリスさん。自分生まれてこの方見たことも聞いたこともないっすよ。
使い魔というのは魔術師が刺激するロボットみたいなものよ。
Okay.
古来から魔術師は工房にこもって研鑽を重ねるのが生りだから。信頼できるものに素材集めや外界の偵察、外敵の駆除を任せるの。
Once again, the connection between sci-fi and magic in the Nasuverse is a thin line.
ただの駒使いっすね。それは弟子とは違うんすか？
違うわ。弟子というのは技を引き継いで死を超える後継者でしょ。
Okay.
彼らはいずれ死を超える義務があるし、死もそういうものでなければ弟子には取らないわ。でも使い魔は作られた時の性能が全てだから、成長しないものを後継ぎにはできないわ。
そっか。どうりで自分何年経っても記憶容量増えないわけ
Donkey
ですね。
ear, that's a
しかも
year.
生まれた時からパーフェクトだったと。
I figured out that one.
そうね。パーフェクトに役立たずね。
Dang.
使い魔の多くは小動物をベースに作られるわ。これは使い魔は術者からの魔力供給で活動するタイプが多いから。使い魔は大きいほど魔力提供を必要とする。
Why cats are kind of one of the easy ones.
作ってしまえば動力を自力で補充できる小動物は便利なの。
自分狩りとかしたことないっすよ。タンパク質も食物繊維もいらないっす。
I mean, you better get some fiber, or else there's gonna be... No, never mind, birds poop through one hole. It's okay.
あなたたちプロイはまた別のくくり。とにかく魔術師たちにとって使い魔は自分の命令を聞く従者、ペットだと思えばいいわ。
Yeah.
このように猫や鳥、ネズミを使い魔にするのが一般的ね。
That is a really... I love the texture of that image. Do you see the texture of, like, the paper? Very Ken Sugimori. Oh, hello.
アリスさん、この物騒なのはどういうカテゴリーっすか？
これは戦闘用に調律された自動人形。ここまで来るとファ
Hmm,
ミリアと
okay.
いうよりセンチネルだけど、これは使い魔のセオリーから外れた特注品よ。またあなたのように人間互換できる知性を持った使い魔も特例に当たるわ。
It is wild that I've fought so many automata in Grand Order, and I never even thought once of the connection between automata, puppets, and, Toko.
でもそんなのは魔力の無駄ね。コストが高いだけ。大抵は術者本人が済ませた方が早かったり、もっと安い材料で代用できるから。
手段と結果を間違えるってやつっすね。
Sometimes you do things for the art, though. Hello? Oh, I tapped the shoulder button.
じゃあ使い魔は術者より弱いんすね。あくまで前座ってことっすか？うわ、マジ使えないやつらっす。
あなたらしい短絡思考ね、ロビン。しびれるわ。これが私の使い魔だなんて。
Dang. Brutal.
アリスさん、言葉は素敵なのにどうして顔が可愛いんすか？
術者の10分の1ぐらいの性能しかなくても、 本人より強い使い魔を作ることは簡単よ。試しに今度あなたのお腹にデリンジャーを埋め込んでみましょうか。
What? What's that? That's a word that I don't know the actual meaning of. Derringer. Oh, that's a gun! Oh! Gunbird. Okay. I know there's tons of people that are probably like, how come you don't know what a Derringer is? Bro, I don't care about guns.
泣いたり笑ったり飛んだりはできなくなるけど、相手を驚かせるぐらいはできるわ。
I'd be scared if I was walking around and I saw a bird and I'm like, what a cute little bird. And all of a sudden, gun. Like that. Chicken and rice, that's nice.
まさに豆鉄砲ね。
Oh.
消費されてくれないかしら。
なんか当たりきついっす。でもこれで大まかな説明はしたっすね。使い魔は魔術師を守るロボットで、その性能は作った魔術師によってまちまちと。万能感あふれるアリスさんはともかく、青子さんが使い魔を作ったらどうなるっすか？やっぱり起動即自爆？
I don't know if that Alice portrait is meant to be her, like, kind of half-eyed and sleepy, or if she's just, like, so sardonic.
ありえない過程ね。青子には使い魔を作るだけの技量はないもの。そもそも彼女は壊すことしかできないのよ。その唯一の特技を使い魔に任せてしまったら、存在意義も跡形もなく壊れてしまうわ。
はあ、さりげにひどい発言っす。
戦闘において青子は使い魔に任せる必要がない。逆に私は戦うことはできないから。
なるほど。青子さんは
Oh, 18 pence, that makes sense.
強い。
Hey,
アリスさんの
some of these I don't gotta look up.
チェス、
Shogi.
いえ、
Oh,
将
chess.
棋で例えるなら、青子は王将だけ
It's
の
not
陣営。
chess. It's not chess. It's not chess. Don't call it chess.
私は陣営こそ強力だけど、王将自体が負の能力しかない。
アリスさんは体力も運動神経もないうんちキャラだったっす。泳ぎは犬かきしかできない。鉄道もできなければ自転車にも乗れない。
Really?
体育の時間は校庭の端っこで座っているだけの簡単なお仕事。
Wow, okay. Never expected any of those.
だがそれがいい。自分盗撮してるから知ってるっす。
Robin Hood, that's pretty good.
でしよ。ただ美しく。あれ
There she go. Or he, they. Wait, hold up. Mahoyo, Robin, gender. He. Got it. Sounds good. With the voice it changed. I was like, I don't know. But he got it. Bye. Are you just going to bed?
失礼ね。私だって走るだけなら少しはこなせるわ。
Good. I feel like that's a thing all humans should do. この番組はグランドスポンサーでお送りしました。Puzzle Alice. Nice. Oh, are these just super easy trophies? Let's learn Ploy Kickshaw. Not Ploy Rickshaw. We're at a school.
日課のマンウォッチをこなし、颯爽と円に降り立つ青い貝。
This is such a funny screenshot.
さしずめ鳥は舞い降りたというところっすか。今回はここアリスさんが指定した特設会場でレクチャーを始めるんすけど、
Okay.
ここどう見ても普通の演奏
Uh-huh.
に、アリスさんはどこに？
I want her to go down the slide and have a raise her arms and go woo. And then she's like, I'm here.
遅かったわね、ロビン。出演者としての自覚はあるのかしら。
はっ、声忘れども姿はなしっす。ここには園児しかいないというのに、アリスさんはどこに？
ここよ。
What was I saying?
なぜな
Look at her!
にプロイ
It's okay. I mean, bit weird she's dressed as a kindergartner, I'm gonna be honest. It's a little strange. It's definitely one of those things that I see in games like the Senran Kagura games and stuff, where it's like you can buy the kindergarten outfit DLC for these grown women, and I'm like, so when I buy that, am I put on a list? Because I don't want that. Oh.
なぜなにプロイ
I mean, at least in this art style, she's
なぜ
adorable.
黙っているのかしらロビ
いや別に何でもないっす。
Bubble and
自分的
squeak
には何の違和感もな
means
か
to
ったとこ
speak.
ろが余計怖かっただけっす。さすがマイ天使であるところのアリスさん。何を着てもやばいぐらい似合うっす。ほんとバイヤー。
It's a bit weird to say to someone dressed as a kindergartner, my friend.
ところで、
But you are a
素朴な
bird.
疑問なんすけど、ここで何を？
マンネリズムは良くないでしょおまけコーナーだからって素材を使い回すのは
Oh.
私の美学に反するわなんとか道
Oh.
場じゃあるまいし
I get this reference.
だから場所を変えたっすか。
I get that
なる
reference.
ほど。それはおおむね
That's
理
a
解したっ
fate
す。
reference.
青木さんのびっくりの浪費ぶりっす。
It's a fate reference. An earwig? I got me an earwig. Oh, that's not a rhyme. That's just saying got it.
でも
Yeah.
自分スモックよりワンピの方が好みなんすよね。ドレスみたいなの、女神っぽいの。
Butcher's
スモッ
hook?
クがダメという
That's a
話で
look.
はなくてっすね。
Got
あ
it.
まりイメージの問題。
Oh,
絵画にした時の説得力。
I'm becoming cockney pilled.
森と鳥と少女みたいな。あ、ほら、鳥と園児じゃ園児のインパクトが強すぎて鳥にフォーカスが当たらないっつうか。
いけない歌詞作りの途中だったわ
ナチュラルに無視。ところでアリスさんは普段何をやってるっすか？青子さんは生徒会、シャバゾウはアルバイト、アリスさんは帰宅部っす。
Rat and mouse? That's the house. Oh wow.
見て
Look at the frame date on that bag.
時間があればプロイを作っているわ
わあ、まんま童話の魔女のイメージっす。プロイって鍋で作ってたっすか？
You are the definition of a witch on a holy night.
っていうか、この匂いはチョコレート。まさかプロイってお菓子だったんすか？
あなたねプロイのくせにプロイの仕組みを知らないの気づきたくはなかったけれどやっぱりただの鳥だった
I feel like if you asked most humans what a human is, what a human's made of, they wouldn't actually be able to break it down for you.
そのあたり自分でもよくわからないっす。でもプロイの仕組みはわかるっすよ。なぜならこれからアリスさんが海より深く空より広くかっちょいい説明してくれるからっす。
Will give a gloss deeper in the housemaid's knee. Oh, that's a saying.
本編で説明している通りよ以上解散
このコーナーの根底を崩す一言っす。
何か意見があっ
She
て
doesn't want to do her own Tiger Dojo.
ナイス。でもせめて概要だけでもレクチャーしてほしいっす。
Oh, yeah.
じゃあこのコーナーなんとか道場以下っすよ。
God, Tiger Dojo is the best feature in any video game. Like, it's legitimately the best. I think every video game needs a Tiger Dojo where the characters just break away and they're like, let's talk about what just happened. And sometimes when there's nothing to talk about, they just talk about whatever.
それは避けたいわねそれじゃあ
Okay.
これがプロイキッシャーの綴りこれだけで説明になると思うのだけど
Okay. Okay.
プロイキックシャー。
キックシャーの句はほとんどサイレントよ西欧圏の子供のおもちゃ子供騙し軽蔑的に珍しいものといった意
Really?
味ね
It's more like Ploy Kishaw? Okay, interesting.
あ、知ってるっす。 それ変人の意味でももち
Really?
プロイも同様に西欧圏の
Really?
こっちは戦争ごっこに使われるもの。子供の教育用玩具の総称ね。
Does it actually have a lewd meaning? Kickshaw slang. Clickshaw adult slang. Let's try that. I actually can't find anything for that. Oh, no, here we go. Toy. So, a toy, an object that adults use for entertainment rather than a... No, that's not it. Interesting. I don't actually see anything saying that it is a lewd term, but I'm sure it might be.
戦略、戦術の俗語でもあり、
True?
スコットランドだと
Wait, what?
な意味もあるけれど。
Oh, now you got me interested. Scottish ploy slang? Oh. My friends, in Scotland, ploy is their term for a queef. The fact that this game brings it up at all is amazing.
この2つの単語を無理やりつなげたのがプロイキッシャーなんすね。もしかしてアリスさんオリジナル？
私の母に伝わっていた独自の魔術系統よ。
Oh.
魔術協会に公開し
Hold up.
権利と利益を得る。
You
なんで
can
低俗なことはしていないから。
you can trademark your spells and gain royalties from it. That is actually, it says so much about the state of magecraft.
まあ公開したところでアリスさんにしか扱えないんですけどね。マインスターの血に縛られてるっす。
あなた、本当はちゃんと分かっているんじゃないの？
すまないっす。今何言ったのか忘れたっす。自分昔のことは未来よりあやふやっすから。
マインスターというのは何？
マイ女神っす。アリスさんの母君っすね。あと純潔の魔女とかいかにもなセカンドネームがあったっす。
Interesting.
でも母君ミーハーだったんすよね。流行り物に弱いというか、ルイス・キャロルの大ファンでもあったっす。
I wonder where her name comes from then.
魔女は自分の代で先代から残されたプロイを自分用にチューンナップするっすよ。母君キャロルにハマってたからあの始末っす。金を犯した時もノータイムで名前はアリスにしましょうなって微笑んだぐらいっすから。
Broke the rules. Huh.
呆れた。少女趣味の塊だったのね、あの人。
何言ってるっすか。シャバゾウが帰ってくると必ず目を覚ますアリスさんも負けてはいぬ。
Gates of Rome? That's home. Also, did you just slip? Or was that a drop kick?
次回のレクチャーはプロイキッシャー個別にしましょう。それじゃロビン、お店の予約をしておいて。それが済んだらチョコレートの湯煎。それが済んだら鏡の磨き。それが済んだら
Oh.
電柱にでもぶつかって盛大に死んでちょうだい。
Dang.
いつも通りってことっすね。アリスさんなんか当たりきついっす。
私本来はこういうキャラよ。本編では面倒だから黙っているだけ。
That's fair. That's fair.
面倒って何がっすか？
あなたのようなを罵るのにいちいちカを使うとか、それだけの価値があると思って。
This game's rated M for mature, so what horrible bird slur did she bring out?
たまんないっす。自分グリコのキャラメルいかないですね。でも
Tom
それなら
tit?
舐めてほしいっす。
What? Okay. Tom tit? A tomtit is apparently a type of bird. Okay.
そうね。 それでも死なないか、一度試してみましょうか。
ノータイムで丸かじり。やっぱりプロ言っておかしなんす。おめえ。
Terrifying. I can't read that. I can't read that. So if that's meant to be a joke, it's lost on me. Slipping. Thank you for letting me know. Okay. Okay, now we're at the Carnegie case. Google is my friend today. What is the word Carnegie? Well, Andrew Carnegie was a Scottish-American industrialist and philanthropist. He was famous for starting the American iron industry. There's a 60% chance this is not what it's about. We'll see. Let's go. No matter how busy one is, any person living within human means is certain to have at least some free time. Before or after eating, for example, it's difficult to eliminate the time required to prepare a meal and the time after one finishes eating. This is particularly the case for those who do a lot of thinking. Since the body needs to use energy to digest after eating, there's less available for the brain to use. Oh, interesting.
2系の文字りでしょ。アテナの持ってる縦じゃなくて小さな勝利の女神の方。陸上競技に勝つってイメージじゃない？
Very interesting that they call it Nikkei and not Nike. Also, didn't think they'd be just talking about Nike.
さすがブランド品とか大好きな青子さん。どうでもいい知識だけはそれなりっすね。
There's something about Aoko just being like, talking about her Nikes. The studious resident of the mansion was now taking refuge on the sofa, looking exhausted. Aoko was talking to the robin perched on the table. The bluebird flapped its wings, doing its best to join in on the after-dinner conversation. Alice was reading in the sunroom. Discussion of how to deal with the encroaching enemy mage wouldn't start for at least another 30 minutes.
じゃあアディダスはもしかしてアディオスの文字りっすか？
Talking about Adidas? This is so weird. This is so weird. This doesn't feel real.
あれは普通に名前じゃなかったっけ？ほら、グリム童話みたいに作った兄弟の名前がそのままブランド名になっちゃったのよ。
To be fair, what a name that is.
ブラザーグリムは童話を作ったわけじゃないわ。
Wait, what?
埋もれていた口伝を収集して、
Oh,
物語に仕立て直して、
that's
丁
true.
寧に編纂した人たちよ。職人というより学者の類ね。
I was waiting for her to be like, those were all real. Every one of them.
まあ、多少は詐欺師めいたところも。
Dang. Called out.
へえ。じゃあアンデルセンは？人魚姫とか親指姫とか超メジャーだけど。あと醜いアヒルの子。
Okay, if we ever get a Mahoyo crossover with FGO, the fact that these two can just chat with Anderson would be really funny.
自分裸の王様とかたまんないっす。
He wrote that too.
シンパシー感じるっすよ。あのクリスタルキングに。
That you're both naked?
アンデルセンは学者というより作家でしょう。
Uh-huh.
彼の創作意欲は裕福層や大衆、平凡な幸福を得ている人々。果て
Interesting.
は女性像への憤りから生まれたものだと言われているし、
We're
知
gonna
的好奇心から筆を取ったのではなく、感情を訴えるために筆を取った人。
It's gonna take a little bit till we get to CCC, Fate Extra CCC, where we'll actually get to talk a bit to Anderson and go into him in more detail, but for now, let's just gloss over this.
あまりこういう説明はしたくないのだけれど、それぞれ分けて説明するなら、マザーグースは歌、ブラザーグリムは物語、アンデルセンは偶話ね。
Interesting.
ミツバチマッチはアニメっすね。
Mm-hmm.
ところで青子さん、アシックスの由来は何すか？
Japanese sportswear. I don't know what brand they're talking about here. I'm going to type in Japanese sportswear brands and see if we can figure out which one it is. Japanese sportswear brand bird. What do we got? Mizuno. That's a bird? I mean, I guess it's a bird. Okay.
これは私も小学校の頃友達に聞いたものなんで、アシックスってもともと3つの会社が合併してできた会社なのよ。で、3社の社長が集まると足が6本になるじゃない？だから足、シックス。あくまで俗説だけどね。
Japanese word for foot, ashi, and the number 6. Okay, this might not be the one. Because Mizuno does not have any of those in there. Alright. Japanese sportswear brands. What else is there? There's Asics. Don't think that's one. Mizuno, Descent, Yonex, Onitsuka Tiger. It might be Asics. Maybe? Because it would be Ashi is part of it. But does that have a bird for logo? I'm looking. I'm really curious about these brands. That is definitely not a bird. It might be Mizuno. But I don't know how Mizuno would be that one. I don't know. Someone will tell me. You okay? Alice had dropped her book on the floor of the sunroom and was biting her lip. She was clearly trying to feign calm and to breathe as if nothing had happened. She thought she was doing a convincing job of it. What? The 6 feet thing? Oh, you think that's funny?
それはどうすかに？あんまりにもつまんなかったから怒ってるのかもしれないっす。だってアリスさん、怒り浸透しても笑顔になるんすよ。自分たまに見るっす。アリスさんの日記を盗み見てると後ろでそういう顔してるっす。それ以上見ると死ぬわよって。でも勘弁してほしいっす。見ちゃうものは見ちゃうっすよ。自分から素行調査を取ったらもう基礎本能しか残らない気もするっす。
There's a lot to this. There's a lot to this. Oh my goodness. The Robin felt compelled to give a counter-argument for some reason. Akko let out a sigh. Even Alice sympathized with her, with the over-difficult familiar.
Tadaima. Now,
if there's someone who has nothing to say about sports brands, it's this dude. It was at this time that Sojiro returned. He must have just gotten home from his part-time job. Akko's warm welcome was quite the opposite from the faint response from the sunroom. Sojiro still gave Alice a wave as he left. The dull thud of something dropping was heard as he entered the hallway. Akko peeked out from the sofa to yell for Sojiro. Sojiro calmly and naturally walked back to pick up what looked to be some kind of envelope. Perhaps it was instinct, but the human eye was drawn to motion, even if it was something one had no personal interest in. Akko keenly followed Sojiro's hand with her eyes. Oh. Hold the phone. Did he just do I dropped my massive envelope over here. Don't mind me. What a cache. She had to restrain herself from shouting her thoughts out loud as she leaped up from the sofa. Hold up. This is a face of a man who knows what he just did. Akko found it difficult to come up with a proper response to the pure innocent eyes staring back at her. She was ashamed at how she had jumped up at the enticing sight of so much moolah. She is so jealous, despite the fact she's making him pay rent. My man just wants to live a comfortable life. Please let him. There was an awkward pause before Sojiro smiled and returned back to his room. Aoko sat back down on the sofa, still feeling a bit awkward. This was what set it all off. It began a series of events the Robin would later name the Dosh Affair. Oh boy. Alright, though I am curious. I'm curious. We're all about words this part. Dosh slang origin. When did that come out? Dosh from 1944. Oh, and it is British slang, so that makes a bit of sense. It was the next day around the same time as the previous day's incident. Aoko was coming to pour some tea and relax when she heard Sojiro and the Robin engaged in some kind of debate in the drawing room.
その人が言うには、人と会うたびに小さな親切を尽くしてあげるべきだと。そうして一日が終わったら、その親切が何をもたらしたか、よく噛み締めなさいって。
Okay. Interesting. That's an interesting point of view.
だけの親切でも、相手にとっては大きな意味があるんだそうだ。
Interesting. It's a nice way to look at it.
思いもよらない幸福を運んでくる。
うは、だから自分にビーフジャーキーくれたっすか?
Can birds eat beef? I feel like a bird would have no idea what to do with beef. Because a bird would never be able to eat a cow. Unless it's a vulture.
でもそれ親切じゃなくて袖の下っていう伝統芸能じゃないっすかね。
Sojiro's serious demeanor was more like a consultation or a proposal than it was idle chatter.
まあ、あいつが妙なのはいつものことか。
Aoko decided to ignore what was going on in the drawing room and head straight for the sunroom. There she saw Sojiro's coat on the chair.
ちょっと宗十郎、コート置きっぱなしじゃない。
Oh my god, is she gonna go in and grab the money?
今のコート掛けか、自分の部屋に持って行って。
She stopped herself mid-sentence. Oh my god, Aoko, you can't do this. She could see the same kind of envelope that Sojiro had dropped on the ground yesterday inside his coat pocket. It was even thicker than the one she saw the day before. If that's not yours, Aoko, don't do it. Don't do it. She wouldn't allow herself to make a spectacle about it like she did yesterday. She reminded herself that she was a model student and the student council president.
さーて、紅茶っと。
Feigning disinterest, she listened in on the conversation going on in the drawing room. Sojiro was still deep in conversation with the Robin. Perhaps he hadn't heard her calls.
都会の孤独は万人に平等だ。
Oh, deep.
一見して身勝手な暴力じみた押し着せの善意も
Wow.
長い目で見ればその人のためになる。
Horf, deep conversations with the bird.
なるほど。親切の押し付けには一銭もかからないっすからね。ちゃんちゃん人助けするっすよ。
This is the deepest I love the fact that he's like, I can talk to this bird? I'm gonna talk to this bird about ethics.
ただより高いものはないって言うけどね。
どっちっすかこのシャバゾン。
Aoko was so intent on eavesdropping she'd completely forgotten that she'd come to pour a cup of tea. There was no way she could ignore such a suspicious conversation.
こうも言うんだ。幸福になりたければ、初めは恨まれてもいいと。
Okay? Alright, you're kinda losing me, buddy.
やれ金を返せだの詐欺師だの言われても、いずれその人のためになると分かっていれば、
What? What we
心
would...
を鬼にできる。
Where are we going?
人に尽くしている喜びが、後ろめたさとか帳消しにするらしい。
Huh?
それ知ってるっす。でも微妙に違うような。
Aoko agreed with the Robin in this case. Sojiro was referring to the words of a famous entrepreneur. If you want to find happiness, let's stop thinking about gratitude or ingratitude and give for the inner joy of giving. That was the actual quote.
あるいはこうとも、貯金のある人は、その富を温存するよりも、会社がより豊かになるために使うべきだと。
What are we talking
それは知
about?
ってるっす。でももう完全に違うような。
Aoko was becoming upset with how much she was agreeing with the bird at this point. That was a quote from an even more famous entrepreneur. Surplus wealth is a sacred trust, which its possessor is bound to administer in his lifetime for the good of the community. Sounds like Sounds like someone's on the side of heavy taxation. What does this say about the politics of Kinokunasu? This was how one was supposed to go.
信じられるのはお金だけなのかもしれない。だって奥さんも子供もずっと一緒にいてくれるわけじゃない。不幸な事故で先立たれることだってある。
That's grim.
でもお金は別だった。お金で幸福は買えないけど、幸福はお金になる。今は人の親切と温かい布団があればそれでいいと、その人は言った。
I mean, money does make me happy. I also heavily disagree with the sentiment you can't buy happiness. That's not true. That's not true, and I'll tell you why. Money can buy you time away from things you don't want to do, right? Money can make you not have to worry about things that you have to do, so that you can do things that you want to do, right? If I suddenly got enough money that I never had to work again, I could do whatever I wanted, right? And that's the big thing. And by doing things that only bring me joy, that would buy me happiness, right? I feel like anyone who says money can't buy happiness don't have enough money to actually get what that happiness is, or they just don't have things that bring them joy anymore.
なんか無性にらしくないこと言ってるわね。
Also, yeah, it all feels very out of character. Though his words were a bit strange and worrisome, Aoko couldn't spend much time worrying about it. She didn't have the capacity to worry about anyone else right now. Her battle with the enemy mage was always lurking just beneath the surface.
どっちにしろ私には関係ないか。
Aoko shrugged it off and turned her attention away from the drawing room. She told herself that she would forget all about this commotion by tomorrow anyway. I just want him to come in stacked with bills, just like coming out of his coat. It's like, oh, so much money, can't do anything with it. Just overflowing. Sojiro was back from his job with a smile on his face again today. Work truly was its own reward. His mood was infectious, and Aoko smiled back while relaxing on the sofa.
はい、お疲れ様。休んでていいわよ。今日は昼からずっとバイトだったんでしょ？夕飯ならこれから作って何？
Her smile, that was a good Nani. Her smile suddenly turned frigid.
どうした青崎？木の実の冗談を聞いた時みたいな顔して。
どうしたじゃない！いい加減黙っていられなくなった。いいからそのポケットのもん出しなさい。
is he literally bursting with cash like I said? Sojiro reached in and pulled out the contents of his pockets without knowing why he was being scolded. He placed the now all too familiar brown envelope on the table. It was far too thick to be... Oh my god, are we doing a Berserk reference? It was bright, enticing, almost magical. There was nothing else it could have been than a stack of cash. That is a straight-up Berserk reference.
これはどうしたの？しずきくん。
You sound so happy. Alice innocently asked Sojiro, I don't know, that sounded painted in knowledge. She was a bit dazzled at the sight, but there was no mistaking it for an illusion.
バイト代だよ。
Okay.
そう。それはいいことだわ。明日はごちそうね。
The two remained calm despite the abnormally large wad of cash before them. That being said, the one with the most common sense in the house finally had to speak up.
んなわけないでしょ。ちょっと宗十郎、そこに正座。どういうことか説明なさい。
She knew more than anyone how serious this was.
説明って何をだ？
決まってるでしょ。この札束の正体よ。あんた今何やってんの？どう考えても真っ当な職種とは思えないんですけど。
まっとうだぞ。この新しいバイトは少なくとも法には触れていないと聞いた。
What?
ちゃんとやれば危ない目にも合わない。
Okay.
コンビニエンスストアより割がいいし、俺でも簡単にできるという。
Oh, what's this gonna be? Unbelievable. Aoko was just about dizzy with rage by this point. At least not illegal. That's like when an obviously drunk person tries to contend that they are indeed quite the contrary.
正気に戻れ。日ごとお金が倍々に増えていくバイトなんてあるわけないでしょ。いいから仕事の内容を言いなさい。内容を。あんたどう考えても騙されてるから。
This is so funny because all I can think about is that one image of Aoko and Sojiro texting each other, and Sojiro texts her is like, "What's happening with the stock market right now?" And Aoko texts back and says, "Don't worry about it, babe." And then Sojiro's like, "Okay, or yay, okay, heart." Like, just, it's that, but actually kind of in reverse, perhaps? I swear if he's into crypto, Sojiro kept his mouth shut. He didn't seem to be too threatened by Aoko's reprimands.
ダメだ。いくら青崎でも教えられない。あんまり人に話すことでもない。
What is this gonna be? Did he get a sugar mommy?
でも安心してくれ。分類的にはちょっとした人助けと言えるだろう。あと、紹介してくれた人とは一度しか会ってないし、支払いは常に現金だ。
Are you a sugar mommy to a, like a sugar mommy pimp?
この田舎バカ。
Yeah.
その文脈からして怪しすぎるんだっていうの。
Aoko stamped her foot in frustration, but who could blame her after hearing the standard lines for a scam? It's a new job, the pay is good and anyone can do it, and I'm not supposed to talk about it. All it'll go into now is saying, like, come to the initiation, we'll get you started with a starter kit. God. I'm so I only, like, once or twice had, like, those MLM people try to talk to me about it. Both times they've been cute girls, but I refused. Despite all that, Sojiro was still refusing to spill the beans. They hadn't known each other for that long, but Aoko was well aware of Sojiro's personality. Steadfast explained him well. Once he made a decision, nothing could make him change his mind about it. At times like this, it was near impossible to get him to talk.
厄介な。
Aoko backed off, realizing it would be a challenge to get him to say anything at this point. Sojiro couldn't figure out what was upsetting her.
なんで青崎は怒ってるんだ？
Aoko decided to give up on getting anything useful out of him.
そんなうまい話はないからよ。アリスもそう思うでしょ？
そうね。青子の言いたいことはわからないけど、しずきくんはもっとやるべきだと思う。
What? And so, Alice contributed absolutely nothing useful. Aoko collapsed onto the
青
sofa.
崎、
いいわよもう。よくわかんない理由で話す気ないんでしょ。そう考えてみれば、あんたなんてただの同居人なわけだし、私があれこれ文句言う筋合いはなかったわ。
Aoko shooed Sojiro away with her hand. Unfortunately, she wasn't going to be able to sit there and stew like she wanted to. She couldn't just ignore this problem like Alice.
あいつはどう見ても騙されてるし、最終的にとばっちり食らうのは私だし。
Oh, you're going to tail him, aren't you? She needed to be bold and make him quit this new job of his immediately. It was what a true friend would do, and it was also her duty as the student council president. However, Aoko started to think otherwise. Morals and a clear conscience were important, sure, but for a student living solely off their parents' generosity, that kind of money was kind of hard to pass up.
そうね。
That's an interesting line,
最終的に辞めさ
actually.
せるのは絶対にしても、これまで稼いだお金を捨てるのはもったいないし。仕方ない。ここは絡めてでいくか。
The wicked, scheming student council president sank deeper into the sofa. Her ability to play things by ear and her miserly nature were both her strongest and weakest points. The next day, noon. Oh? Aoko waited until her roommates were gone, then picked up the phone in the
もしも
foyer.
し飛び丸？宗十郎がこんなことになってるんだけど、あんた心当たりない？
Shocked you know his phone number, honestly. The sound of the first train leaving the station could be heard far off in the distance. This was that time in the morning when the town was deciding if it felt like waking up or not. Tobimaru Tsukiji was having a walk down the city streets at sunrise, enjoying the fresh, crisp morning air. Yo, that was me on New Year's, walking around with just nobody, because everyone was at home with their families, and walking around in like the dark alone was so beautiful. The crowds had become a common complaint of Tobimaru's. To him, the tacky, over-decorated street corners were the embodiments of human desire. At this time of day, the streets were nothing like the circus tent of activity they usually were. The main street was completely empty. It was like a lonely, tranquil morning after a festival. Ooh, oh, that's so beautiful. God, I look at this and I'm just like that's just, I love this look. Weary men in black were busy cleaning up and restoring order in the bars after the previous night's revelry. Around the back entrance of the local restaurants, the kitchen crew were busy bringing in their daily ingredients while stifling back tired yawns. Birds carelessly wandered the streets. There wasn't even the sound of a single car engine to be heard. This was a uniquely refreshing sensation that could only be felt from a city morning. It existed somewhere between daily life and exciting entertainment. This was the only time of day when the bustling modern world stepped aside for a slower, more nostalgic pace. Tobimaru searched through his coat pockets but only found some old receipts. He rearranged a scarf around his neck to keep the cold wind at bay. Meandering through the city streets, he'd ended up at Central Park, just as the morning magic began to fade. His stroll had no particular purpose. It wasn't for his health or anything like that. He was merely making his way home after a night out on the town. Tobimaru had a moment of unabashed self-reflection as he drank a can of vending machine coffee, which is the best coffee. Maybe not the best, but it's up there. It's real good. Get that Boss Coffee, Boss Rainbow Blend. Oh, Boss Rainbow Blend from a Japanese vending machine is just peak. I had it in Ueno Park. He didn't particularly hate partying all night long, but it was pretty boring, and since he still wasn't old enough to drink alcohol. Which makes me really wonder if he still didn't do it because it's a Nasu game. He'd been in it for a few days now, thinking it was at least better than being at home, but he was quickly growing bored of it. God, it's weird to be playing this game at this time. He grinned wryly at his lame excuse. It was true that he was out wasting time like this because he didn't really have a place to go home at the moment. The Tsukiji family always had a congregation of relatives over on New Year's Day, as per his grandfather's orders. This was why his siblings and other relatives had been staying over at the Tsukiji home for a few days now. If Tobimaru was there, he'd just provide fuel for the fire. He decided to avoid the family drama and not go home while everyone was there. They just greet him with insults anyway, and if someone tried to start a fight, he knew he wouldn't be able to resist the bait. It would only cause even more resentment and trouble for his father. So for Tobimaru, there was nothing more pointless or less enticing than getting involved in his siblings' squabbles over the inheritance. That's really sad. Tobimaru Tsukiji was the fifth-born son to the Tsukiji family, which owned multiple plots of land in Misaki City. However, most land had been acquired after the war. Before that, they had been a minor noble family on the brink of ruin. The man who built the Tsukiji family into its current glory was Kimikuni Tsukiji, Tobimaru's grandfather, the current patriarch. Kimikuni married into the struggling Tsukiji family and saved them after they lost all their power during the war. The Tsukiji clan were the local Shinto clergy, interesting, and relied upon Kimikuni's financial assets. Kimikuni, on the other hand, had leveraged clan connections to establish himself in Misaki City. While both parties came together for mutual gain, the Tsukiji family failed to recognize just how ambitious Kimikuni was when they accepted him into their family. He wasn't the obedient son-in-law they had imagined. He had grand plans of his own, growing and developing industries within Misaki City and many other areas as well. Kimikuni controlled all of these areas not as a member of the Tsukiji family, but under his own name. A castle's greatest defense was its moat, not the walls, and Kimikuni bridged the moat. It was the economic equivalent of starving out the enemy. Kimikuni's financial might subdued the noble Tsukiji family completely. In less than 10 years, there was no one in the family who could stand up against him. The The businessman, accepted into the family as a mere son-in-law, had seized the Tsukiji name and the entirety of the family fortune. However, Kimikuni had fathered many children. He would not allow the Tsukiji bloodline to die out. That was also the only way to maintain the family fortune. His 3 sons and 1 daughter all married relatives of the Tsukiji family, thus strengthening the familiar bonds that Kimikuni had weakened. Tobimaru was the 5th son of Hideyoshi Tsukiji, Kimikuni's eldest son. Sorry, so Kimikuni... Okay. I'm bad with family trees. Is that incest, or is that just a close family? I can't actually tell. However, his mother was not a member of the family. Tobimaru was the result of a fling with a mistress. That ignoble birth defined his place in the family. Oh, he was his father's love child. Although the family's dignity was somehow maintained since he was the son of Hideyoshi, it wasn't difficult to imagine the level of mistreatment Tobimaru faced from his siblings and other relatives. Dang, that sucks. Being raised in such a hostile environment made Tobimaru grow up far faster than he should have. His ability to think quickly and objectively was honed naturally within this challenging environment. My just question is, what does this have to do with what we're doing? Hello? I pressed the circle button. That's on me. I pressed the wrong button. However, those exact traits also brought Tobimaru a great deal of trouble. Kimikuni Tsukiji, unfortunately against all odds, this great leader of the Tsukiji family, favored Tobimaru over everyone else, including his own eldest son. Oh no. Since Kimikuni had been a commoner himself, he did not believe in blood inheritance alone. To make matters worse, not a single coin from his great fortune had been given to any of his sons yet. The most loathsome thing in the world is the blood of the Tsukiji family. I never would have had any of you if I could have helped it. Those words were spoken at every family gathering. Oh my god, and they were the absolute truth. He'd taken a liking to Tobimaru after speaking with him at these annual family gatherings and enjoyed playing chess with him in his spare time ever since. Everyone in the family was worried Kimikuni would name Tobimaru his successor. In this way, Tobimaru had gone from being worthless to a threat in the eyes of Kimikuni's sons. The son who felt the most fear and hatred was Tobimaru's own father, Hideyoshi, who would have been the unquestionable heir as the eldest son. And this was how Tobimaru became estranged from his father. They no longer even lived in the same house. Oof, this is family drama. Hideyoshi always acted like they had a great father-son relationship in front of Kimikuni, but that would only last until his father was no longer around or until Tobimaru was officially named the heir. When that happened, it would be all-out war. In any case, it would not be a pleasant story. Tobimaru scratched his head in frustration. He really wasn't all that worried, though. In public, it looked like they had a good father-son relationship. In private, they were in the midst of a bitter inheritance dispute. Things had always been that way, even before he met Kimikuni. The only difference was that his sole protector, his father, was now his mortal enemy. Tobimaru had always been at odds with his family. His father was just one more enemy to add to that pile. Staying out all night like this was Tobimaru's way of avoiding his family. If he was home, he knew they would try to gauge his feelings. However, they wouldn't openly attack him now. Even the relatives who looked down on him and his siblings who had bullied him as a child. The worst they would do was make snide remarks. Tobimaru was, at his core, a peaceful person who preferred to avoid trouble whenever possible. Petty revenge or even stepping up to Kimikuni's expectations weren't on his to-do list. His father's worries were unfounded, his relatives were getting riled up for no reason, and Tobimaru had no intention of stepping out of his role as the prodigal? Another one of those words, huh? Just another one of those words. Prodigal son. However, his siblings who were around the same age as him held a different kind of resentment. Uh-oh. Perhaps they felt guilty for tormenting him for all those years. Perhaps it was the result of their roles being reversed. He's gonna get back at us one day. They lived in such fear of this that they didn't dare ignore Tobimaru. Oh. He's like, I'd rather they hit me with a launcher. His family problems were simply a chore. They never really worried him that much. He was used to human malice, although he nearly died from the physical abuse of his siblings. Oh, jeez. Even though someone had once tried to kill him with true murderous intent. Oh, jeez. Even though he'd been exposed to how the elite, untouchable class of society treated others by his eldest brother. It was all such a pain in the ass. Those were all the events that would change a person's outlook on life, but he always remained cool-headed. That was just how things were for Tobimaru. He had grown bored of his relatives getting worked up over everything.
そのあたりは人それぞれか。親父殿には同情するけどな。あのじいさんの息子なんて波の根性じゃ務まらねえ。
Tobimaru honestly could not care less about who would be the next heir. He had no clear plans for the future yet. His only real goal was to wash his hands of his family and start fresh when he became an adult. Until then, everything that happened was a life experience. He continued his morning walk, thinking it'd be better to enjoy the nightlife now while he was still young. Oh my god. This is the park. This is the park where you fight, This is the park where they fight, Nero Chaos. Someone was already sitting on the bench when Tobimaru entered the plaza. The crows gathered there flew off at his approach. On the bench sat a girl dressed in black. Oh? A well-dressed old man with a cane sat with her. Huh. These were familiar faces, so he approached the bench to say hello. Who's that? Who's this dude? The old man and the girl looked as if they were grandfather and granddaughter. He seemed like a kind old man spending time with his grandchild. However, the truth was...
アリス、僕は今でも思うんだ。考えられるサービスはすべて実現させた。
Oh!
従業員への感謝も、来園者への笑顔も忘れたことはない。
Is this someone from the Kuonji group?
なのに時代は僕を選ばなかった。それどころか僕の内なる芸術性を否定した。無念だ。死ぬがいい。腐った魚のようなマスコミどもめ。何が悪夢のクリーチャーか。あんな夢にまで見そうなマスコットが他にあるだろうか。やるまい。
Wait, is this the guy who made Kitschyland?
なのに連中と来たらネズミを二足歩行させれば満足と来た。
Oh, he's mad at Mickey.
そもそも犬をペットにする齧歯類とか、
Oh, yeah.
冷静に考えたら怖いぞ。
What?
動物が動物をペットにするなんてモラルが低いにも程がある。あそこはやはり人間をペットにするべきじゃないんだろうか。
Oh man, that's really weird. Actually, this poor young woman was getting an earful from this old man. After his outburst, he paused for a moment with this stupid look on his face.
いや、これは失礼。ゆり彦よ。
He scolded himself and hung his head.
答えてくれ、アリス。
Yep.
一体僕のキッツイちゃんは何がいけなかったんだ。
This is the guy who made Kitschyland.
角よ。角をつけるべきだったのよ。
What? The girl in black returned the old man's solemn bow with a grim answer of her own.
いや、角はいけない。子供たちが怪我をしてしまうからね。僕は傷をつけるなら体ではなく心にしたい。
What the frick? The girl nodded deeply, thinking over the implications of what this old man had just said.
さて。
Tobimaru didn't really want to get involved, but he was already too close. If he passed by without saying anything, the old man would certainly make a fuss.
こんちは。こんな朝っぱらからじくじく公開中かい。時津のじいさん。いつまでも引きずってると死に損なうぜ。さっさと往生して息子たちを安心させてやんな。
Do we have Yurihiko Tokitsu. Yep, that's him.
おや、どこの悪ガキかと思えば豊かの子供か。
This guy's weird.
おはよう、トビー。
Toby.
君も相変わらず早起きだね。
俺は朝帰りですよ。お二人みたいに健康的じゃない。
This is so strange that they all seem to know each
そ
other.
ら、クオンジのお嬢さんも
Oh.
おはようさ。
Well, no, I guess it does make sense if she owns a lot of land in town. The girl looked up calmly at Tobimaru's greeting. That is a really interesting character dynamic I never would have expected. It was none other than the witch on the hill, Alice Kuonji. The fact that...
こうしてまともに挨拶するのは2年前のパーティー以来か。
Okay,
何にせよ
not
珍しいな。
very often, okay.
あんたがお付きなしで町に降りてきてるなんてよ。
I have to say, the fact that he mentally referred to her as the witch on the hill, which, you know, the whole thing about them keeping it a secret about them being witches and magic is kind of stupid, because if the rumor of her being a witch and dressing like a witch and living on the hill like a witch and she's actually a witch, that is a very bad cover-up.
そうでもないわ。この時間の公園は鳥を入れ替えるのにちょうどいいから。
What a...
一人で散歩によく使うの。
I think this is one of my favorite things with Kinoku Nasu's writing. He sets up characters that are completely separate from each other. That you'd be like, this character and this character should never meet up because there's no reason to. They exist in totally different worlds. The school group, the supernatural group, right? You have these entirely separate characters. But then when they are brought together through chance, you get these beautiful, interesting combinations that make you go, no, it does make sense that they're all together.
ほう、そりゃ驚いた。箱入り娘じゃなかったのか？
Dang.
ええ。その証拠に、あなたがひどい顔で歩いているのを何度か見かけたわ。
Looking absolutely plastered, which you can't be because you're underage, definitely. No one drinks before they're 18.
遊び歩くのは結構だけど、青子に迷惑かけないよう気をつけなさい。
ご忠告どうも。肝に銘じておくよ。
It still blows me away that Aoko living on the hill there seems to just be just knowledge that people are fine with. You'd think that would be kept a secret, you know? Despite their casual greeting, Tobimaru and Alice rarely interacted, though their fathers were acquainted. Even so, the histories and spheres of influence of the two families were very different. Though the Tsukijis held sway in Misaki City, the Kuonjis influenced the whole of Japan. Oh, okay. Normally, someone like Tobimaru would not be in the same social circles as Alice. The only reason they could interact like this at all was because they were both friends with Aoko Ozaki.
わかな。トビー、君はアリスと友人関係だったのか。もしかして二人はステディな関係だとか言うまいな。
Could you stutter any more, buddy?
やめたまえ。言ったら大ごとになるぞ、トビー。僕は心臓麻痺で急死しかねない。犯人は君であり、凶器はアリスだ。
They were not joking when they said that this guy was eccentric. He's weird.
無論死因はこう書いてくれ。そう聞くも無情な恋の病と。
クオンジのお嬢さんはどうしてこんなダメ老人と？
It's a good question.
俺と同じ親父関係の付き合いか？
この人とはペンフレンド。
Oh.
分不相応にいいアンティークを持っているから、青子と二人で少しずつ取り上げているの。
She's doing this for free furniture. Despite this being one of the only times they'd really talked, Tobimaru and Alice both managed to completely ignore the old man.
参ったな。アリスは照れ隠しもチャーミングだ。ところで、僕のことはユーリヒと呼んでくれていいんだよ。
No, I'm sure that'll catch on, buddy. Mr. Takitsu gently took Alice's hand. Alice's face remained neutral like a doll's.
トッキー、私、いい絵付けのティーカップを探しているの。1900年代のラム工房のものとか。
あるとも。もちろんあるとも。今度おっかないお友達と遊びに来る時までに用意しておこう。
Do you mean Aoko? He responded to her request like an obedient marionette.
おいらくの恋って柄かよ。よくもまあ寝台潰さなかったもんだ。突版は。
You see, this old man was none other than Yurihiko Tokitsu. He was famous in Yashirogi as the former head of the Tokitsu Baking Company with factories all across Japan. He still served as an advisor.
老人とはなんだ。芸術家にとっての老いとは感性の凍結であり、しかるに我が心の火は絶えていない。僕はまだ暑苦しいくらいに若いんだ。つぼみのような少女と恋を語らう楽しみは残っているさ。
What is it with this face that makes him look deeply unhinged?
この年になるともう世間体とかどうでもよくてね。女の子と話すことだけが人生の意味になるんだぞ。
Sadly, this is the most realistically written character in all of this game.
若いのかじいさんなのかどっちなんだよ。
おっと、失言。最後の方のは聞き流してくれ。僕が言いたいのは、女の子と穏やかな時間を過ごすのは最高ってことさ。トビー、そういうの君も好きだろ？
一緒にしないでください。あいにく俺は年上好みですよ。
My man.
おまけに言うなら、二回り以上も年下の女に浴場する趣味もねえわけで。
That would be quite weird for you, buddy. Yeah.
それはそうだ。
Yep.
君がやったら犯罪だ。
This is
トビーは17歳。
this is going weird.
下が何歳になるとか
Why are we doing this? Let's stop right here. Let's stop. Mr. Takitsu nodded his head in self-affirmation. He chose to ignore Tobimaru's off-color remarks. Tobimaru was reluctantly impressed with the man's magnanimity. In the end,
ともかく挨拶はしましたから、邪魔者はこれで消えますよ。あとは仲良し同士、気兼ねなくどうぞ。
なんだトビー、これも縁だ。ゆっくりしていけばいい。
actually, Mahoyo has let him here.
今から僕の別荘に来るかね。ヘリコを呼ぶよ。楽しいぞ。
いや、お気持ちは嬉しいんですけどね。知る人が見れば、とんでもなくブルジョワなメンズでしょ。
That's fair.
これ今は避けたい気分なんですよ。
He really does care about his image. Tobimaru's choice of words made his present situation clear to Mr. Tokitsu, and he reluctantly backed off. Such intuitive understanding made it obvious how this man had expanded the Tokitsu Baking Company nationwide. He had divined Tobimaru's complicated family situation in an instant.
ミックによろしく。そろそろ引退して子供たちと仲直りするよう僕が言っていたと伝えてくれ。
はいはい。ぬかに釘だろうけど伝えておきますよ。
Does he give Western nicknames to everyone? It seems like
じ
it.
ゃあ、クオンジさん。また朝に出会うことがあったら、その時は改めて挨拶させてくれ。
Alice's silence neither encouraged nor discouraged this discussion. Tobimaru shrugged and left the plaza. What does this have to do with mad cash? What does this have to do with mad money? He walked leisurely away from his park and came to an area of the city that was under redevelopment. There was a radio tower under construction there that the Tsukiji family had a hand in, but most of the capital of that project was funded by foreign firms.
この電波塔は10年先を見越してのものです。いずれ携帯通信は目まぐるしい進歩を遂げるでしょう。
Oh, yeah, that's gift of foresight.
まずはそのモデルケースとして私どもの技術を三崎市に普及させたいのです。
That's actually real smart. The man from the foreign firm shook on the deal with Tobimaru's father, Hideyoshi.
いずれは娘も三崎市に住まわせようと思っています。その時はあなたの息子さんともぜひ交友を。
Oh, that's gross. Well, I don't like that, but that is such a thing for the elite. He was a handsome man who had the calm command of a leader. The fact that he had offered up his own daughter to Tobimaru showed that he researched the Tsukiji family's inheritance issues well.
親父も舐められてるって気づけよな。
Yeah.
親父より先に俺に色目使いやがって。
Then again, if she's
クソヤンキー。
cute, I wouldn't, arranged marriage might not be so bad.
そもそも金髪女の相手
Oh,
なんざ
never
願い
mind.
下げだぜ。向こうで海兵相手にケツ振ってろってんだ。
Tobimar stopped in his tracks after he muttered these complaints. He decided to stop himself before he said anything worse. He'd walked far enough already anyway. The sun was completely up now. There was nothing more to gain from wandering mindlessly. He turned his back to the radio tower and began heading home. 1 hour
もっ
later,
ちゃん、お電話です。
Tobimar had returned to the Sakiji residence. He took the phone from the housemaid.
もしもし、飛び丸？宗十郎がこんな
Oh,
ことになって
oh, this is where we are.
あんた心当たりない？
Ozaki was on the line. That was never a good sign.
とまあこういうわけなのよ。
すげえな。安心できる要素が一つもねえ。
Mm-hmm. Sojo seems caught up in a strange part-time job. I'll wait for you in Central Park to talk about it. 10 minutes had passed since he had received this call from Aoko and returned to the park. Tobimar felt a light migraine coming on after hearing about the situation. The young girl and the old man from before were nowhere to be seen.
そんなこと言われるまでもなく分かってるわよ。私だって人のアルバイトにケチつけたくないけど、どう考えても普通じゃないでしょ。あんた、あいつから何か聞いてない？
悪いな。期待には応えられん。宗十郎はバイトに関しては秘密主義だ。
That is so
任さ
suspicious.
れているからには
That
他
is-
論はできない。とかなんとかな。
That is digging your own grave. Like, if I was in a situation where I was at a job where I truly had to keep it secret, I would make up something new.
そうなのよね。あいつ、他人の事情に関しては缶詰みたいに義理がたいから。
ほう、それはそれは。青崎にそこまで言わせるとはね。
どういう意味よそれ。
タイはね、言葉通りに受け取ってくれ。お前、基本的に何にだって怒るだろ。そんな女が学校外で世話を焼くなんて、よっぽど気に入ったのかと思ってな。
I'd say so. Just not in the way you're thinking, buddy. He wears a dog collar.
違うわよ。あいつが問題を起こしたら私たちにまで飛び火するじゃない。こんなの誰がどう見てもただのリスク回避でしょ。
You're also not wrong.
なるほど。公務として見過ごせないってわけか。
そうよ。悪い？
いやー、悪かねえさ。むしろ尊敬するよ。ほんと、鉄の生徒会長だぜ。休日だっていうのに、学校の評判を守るためだけに働けるとは。
だけってところを妙に強調するじゃない。まあ、事実その通りだけど。
Aoko's glare seemed to suggest she wasn't interested in hearing any objections. This little bluff was rather charming to Tobimar, who's well aware of Sojo and Aoko's current living situation, because Sojo just tells everyone. It's just he doesn't care.
別に。しかしまあ、そういうことなら副会長として付き合わなくっちゃな。会長は学校のために宗十郎を調査する。俺はそのサポートをしつつ、友人として宗十郎を気にかけるってことで。
Tobimar said he would do as Aoko asked, but for some reason she did not seem satisfied.
じゃあ、そうと決まれば早速始めますか。青崎のことだから、宗十郎の勤め先ぐらい突き止めてんだろ。住所どこだよ。
それが尾行したんだけどうまく巻かれちゃって。
Oh. A man's using his woodland trail hiding, you
駅
know?
前から2丁目方面に曲がっていたのまでは確実なんだけど。
The vice president was used to this. He didn't bother saying anything about her going as far as to tail Sojiro.
2丁目か。あの辺りだと、
Oh!
パチンコとゲームセンターぐらいしか思い当たらねえな。
He does work at a pachinko
一日に
parlor.
何万も稼げる店なんだ。
That's where we saw Toko.
そうなのよ。というか知ってたら私が試したい気分だわ。飛び丸、念のために聞くけど、三崎町にあるお金の稼げる遊び場ってパチンコだけ？
Legally.
あ、親父の話じゃ風営法に引っかかる賭場はねえとさ。三崎町の顔役は話のわかるおっさんで、クリーンな極道を目指してるらしい。 パチンコ経営だけで満足してるって話だ。
A clean pachinko parlor, huh? Okay.
うん、それは知ってる。一応確認しただけ。でもそうなるとますます謎ね。ギャンブル以外でお金を売買にしていく仕事なんてちょっと思い当たらないんだけど。
Yeah, and when we're talking legally.
ああ、体でも売ってるとしか思えない羽振りの良さだ。
That's what I said.
みたいな。
Right? Oh, she didn't even consider this. There was a slight delay in Aoko's reaction. It took her a few seconds to register what he was saying, but then her jaw dropped.
体ってあんた。
I mean, you've seen it. You've seen it.
ほら、絵画のモデルとか、バイト代は高いと聞くぜ。
No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
あ、うん、割はいいって言うわね。美大生ってお金持ちだし。そうよね。それぐらいなら別に。
Aoko, you have to confront this.
まあ、ヌードなのは当然だが。
That's also true.
結局裸じゃない。
Without any real information to go on, the conversation was quickly diverging further from the topic at hand. Without knowing the location or type of work, there really wasn't much to talk about.
明日、もう一度総十郎を尾行するしかないわね。二人がかりなら見失うこともないだろうし。
そうだな。他に手がかりもねえし、明日にするか。総十郎の羽振りがいいだけじゃどうしようも。あ
Tiopmaniac furrowed his brow. It seemed as though he thought of something. His expression turned more dire by the second.
どうしたの、飛び丸。何か思い出した？
ああ、ちょっとな。そういえば、最近妙に羽振りのいいバカが一人いたなって。そいつ、3日ぐらい前から金に明かして合コンし放題って話なんだが、頭の痛いことに、総十郎と同じクラスのバカなんだよ、これが。
Oh, he's gonna fess up. There were a few seconds of silence. Aoko nodded. She had put two and two together.
あいつね。
Mm-hmm. The two immediately left the park to go find the suspect. This is a long side story.
チャリース
Jeez, to you too,
お呼び
buddy.
とあらば補習だろうと即サボり、遊びのお誘いだけは断らない木の実くんです。
Oh my god, buddy. Suspect A was apprehended with these. Aoko and Tiopmaniac were both on the student council, so they knew their target would be at school for remedial lessons. Tiopmaniac got a girl in Kinomi's class to tell him he had some good news to share outside. Kinomi took the bait and came running to the school's front gate as fast as he could.
ああ、補習中呼び出して悪かったな。
Trying to study.
別に悪くないぜ。補習を口実にバイトをサボってみたものの、やっぱり補習もかったるかったんで、出席だけ取って保健室で寝てただけだし。
That is really sad.
で、ちょうど暇してたところに殿下からコールだろ。合流できると飛んできたわけさ。
Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy. Kinomi gave a double thumbs up to show that he was really ready to have some fun.
そうか。てっきり外で遊び歩いてると思ったが、助かったぜ。お前、連日ゲームセンターに入り浸りだって聞いてたからよ。
I love the phrase game center. What a good phrase.
ああ、あれね。ちょうど昨日ですっからかんよ。ゲーセンでおごりまくるのは気持ちいいけど、後に残るのは虚しさばかりだよな。
Why were you doing that? That's a bit strange.
他校のヤンキーどもと仲良くなっても嬉しくねえっつうが、女っ気皆無というか。なんで女の子はゲーセン嫌がるかね。
Use the word Yankee, which is such a funny phrase that they picked up for, like, punks.
ま、それも過去の話だけどね。所詮ポット湧いたあぶくぜに使っちまった金の話をしてもしょうがねえ。
Why are these two being weird with money?
俺たちは明るく今の話をしよう。そうだろう、リッチな飛び丸くん。その有り余る財力で今日は僕をどこに連れて行ってくれるんだい？
ああ、その前にこちらの御仁がお前に話があるってよ。
え？
こんにちは、木の実くん。そのあぶく銭の話を聞かせてもらえるかしら。
That's terrifying. Konomi's expression went blank. If anyone could sniff out danger, it was him, and it stank like his impending doom.
僕勉強したいんで戻っていいでしょうか
You can hear him doing the bow and like the little bow and trying to walk away.
もちろん。洗いざらい質問に答え終わったら戻っていい
Oh
わ
boy.
よ。こっちも時間が惜しいからスムーズな自白を期待するわ。それで、あぶく銭って何の話？あなたの月々のバイト料は2万円前後よね。その金額で3日近くも王様の真似事は難しいと思うのだけど。
That's a lot, actually. It seemed the next logical question would be to ask if he had begun a life of crime.
なんだよ、会長には関係ないだろう。そもそも自白って何ですか？いきなり犯人扱いとか、いくらなんでも横暴じゃねえの？
まだ事件かどうかは何とも。最近お金の回りがいい生徒がいると聞いて調べ始めたばかりだから。毎日何万円ももらえる仕事なんて学生には目の毒だし、そういったアルバイトは学校側に報告されてないしね。
Yeah, I was gonna say that was a typo, right? The one that says because that would be, yeah, okay, that's his normal amount, but for but they're getting that much each day pretty much.
生徒会として危
I read
ない
that
仕事
wrong.
だったら注意してあげないと。
Ako was still smiling as she inched closer to Konomi. She had never spoken to him this nicely after what he had done at the entrance ceremony. That alone was enough to make him think he was in big trouble.
へえ、それは初耳だな。俺のは違うよ。今まで貯めた貯金をなんとなく使っただけ。クリスマス前だからこう派手に錠剤しとこうかなって、役落とし的に。
Yeah, just spiritual guidance, you know?
普通クリスマス前は貯金するもんだけどな。
ダメよ築地くん、デリカシーが足りないわ。残酷な事実は口にしたくはないけど、木の実くんにはイブを過ごす相手がいないってことでしょ。学友としてそこを追求したらかわいそうよ。
ローラーいるわい、本命ぐらい。真剣に同情する方がデリカシーに欠けると思うよ俺は。
あら、じゃあイブ用の資金は取ってあるの？
当たり前さ。臨時収入と貯金は別。俺通帳親父に握られてるからさ、予定外の入金とかすぐバレて怒られるんだよ。どこで悪さしてきやがったって。部屋も妹がチェックするしさ、隠し場所とかないんだよ。
Wow, you're just letting it all out.
隠したエロ本すら見つけられるんだぜ。万札入った封筒とか見つかった日には警察に連れて行かれる。だから速攻使うしかなくってさ。
Konomi laughed awkwardly, as if he was ashamed. He wasn't even aware of just how much he had let slip.
へえ、臨時収入？さっきと話違うみたい。
He's bad at lying. He's horrible at
いや
lying.
それはほら、バイト先のボーナスみたいな。5000円ぐらい上乗せしてもらったの。ほんのちょっと、ちょっとだけだって。事件性とかないって。
万札入った封筒について詳しく。
うわ、話せば話すほど食い違っていくぜ。なんだこれ、孔明の罠か。会長近い。ほらすごい。なんか寒い。しかもローファーじゃなくてブーツですか。この前封じられた俺の記憶が蘇りそうなんですけど。
Konomi backed away slowly.
木の実くん、時間がないって言ったの。もう一度アピールするべきかしら。
That's terrifying.
直接体に。
Oh, the threat of a kick to the face from Aoko was enough to show him that she was serious.
わかった、話すってばもう。臨時収入ってのは本当だよ。新しいバイトがあってさ、そこにしずきを紹介したら先輩にボーナスもらったんだよ。
なんですって。
If Konomi really was working at the same part-time job as Sojiro, she wanted to get as much information from him as she could. This was the exact response she had wanted from Konomi, if not better. But she felt dizzy from the implications.
紹介したらボーナスをもらえるって、それ。
Sounds like an MLM. It was the oldest trick in the book for pyramid schemes and other unscrupulous business practices. Yep, multi-level marketing.
しずきが稼ぎを増やしたいって言うんで、 ちょい怪しいバイトを紹介したんだよね。
Oh, so you admit it's shady. Okay. This went back all the way to before final exams. Kinomi told Sojiro about a job he'd heard from an older student. Since the job required a kind, honest young man, Kinomi reluctantly gave up on it for himself and instead passed it on to a friend he thought fit that description.
信じられない。そんな怪しい話にクラスメートを放り出しておいて、まだ友人
What
が
is
す
this
るとか。
job gonna be? I'm like terrified.
木の実くん、普段何考えて生きてるの？
友達でも紹介するでしょ、こういうの。むしろ本当の友情ってこういうものよ。しずきも助かって俺も潤うんだからさ。
そりゃそうだけど、そういうのはちゃんとケツ持つ覚悟がある時だけ口にするものじゃないの？
何それ、めんどくさい。会長、男同士の友情に幻想を持ちすぎだってば。基本俺たちみんなバカよ。
He's not wrong.
あなたを見てると本気でそう思えてくるから不思議ね。飛び丸、あんたよくこんなのとつるんでるわね。
はいはい、そこまで。説教するならまた後でな。そいつ素でバカだから。本気で構成させたかったら
no.
一日使うぞ。
That's a lifetime thing.
いや、足りますよ。ちゃんと一日で構成できます、僕。ただ寝ると忘れちゃうだけで。
That's the type of guy he is.
ほらな。ま、
It's
てめえ
true.
がバカだって自覚している分、気づいてないやつよりは付き合いやすい。
Admitting it is the first step, at least.
この若さで、情けは人のためならずを実践している野郎はそういねえし。
納得。確かにあんたと気が合いそうな性格ね。
いや、参ったな。なんだよ、二人とも。いくら俺でも照れるじゃんか。今俺のこと褒めてなかった？
褒めてねえ。
褒めてないわよ。
ですよね。
What is this job gonna be? With Kinomi leading the way, Aoko and Tobimaru arrived at the part-time job in question. They moved past the new entertainment district in front of the station and into the seedy part of 2nd Street. Aoko pointed to where she had lost Sojiro when she was following
こ
him.
の辺りね。木の実くん、そのバイト先ってどこ？
あの辺。
What a beautiful background, though. Kinomi pointed at a 4-story office building. The entrance was on one side of the first floor. At glance, it looked no different from an apartment complex. The hallway on the first floor continued around to the back of the building. The stairs were located at the beginning of that hallway and were the first thing you saw after
ちょっ
entering.
とそこの路地裏に入りましょう。
Oh, this looks shady. Yep. Ako hurried off into the back alley, where they were not likely to be seen. 3 students stuck out like a sore thumb in an entertainment district like this.
で、中はどうなってんの？事務所って言ってたけど、どんな仕事？
俺に聞いてんの？やだな。俺が知ってるのはここまでだぜ。
Oh!
俺だって先輩に言われただけで中のことなんて知らないし、
Uh-oh.
宗十郎をここまで連れてきたら先輩が紹介料くれただけだし。
Yeah. Their top suspect just admitted he knew no further details. Hosuke Kinomi, co-defendant, or perhaps who he thought might be the main culprit, was really no more than an annoying witness.
参った。ここまで無責任だといっそすがすがしい。ところで木の実くん、西部劇とか見たことある？役に立たない情報提供者の末路とかご存知かしら？
いや、俺映画って苦手なんだよ。でもセーラー服と機関銃なら見た。主演目当てで。
Sailor suit and machine gun? Is that like one of those Sukeban movies?
そう？残念ね。夕日のガンマンぐらいは見とけばよかったのに。ま、どうあれ、情報提供者は悲惨な死を遂げるんだけど。
やる気満々だぜこの女。殿下、こんな教授ほったらかしにしちゃまずいって。首輪とかつけないとさ。
Kind of a weird perspective on this. I feel like she should be behind.
って築地？なんだよ、しけた顔しちゃって。あのビルが何か知ってんの？
まずいな。
Uh-oh.
知ってるも何も。あれは最近やってきた。
Oh
詐欺まがいの
no.
セールス屋だ。 英会話セットの販売と何ら変わらねえ。
Aoko was sad to hear that the truth was as bad as she thought. Konomi seemed confused as usual.
それ確かなの旅丸？
なあ、親父の秘書さんから聞いた話だ。間違いない。表向きは新興宗教なんだが、
Oh
やってることは
no!
羽毛布団の販売だとさ。じいさまばあさま相手に質の低い羽毛布団を高額で売りつけているらしい。
I swear if we open this door and we hear shura pee pee, shura pee pee, shura pee pee, then that's it.
あの事務所も貸し事務所だ。1ヶ月もこの町で稼いだらあっさりドローンするつもりだろう。間違いなく宗十郎は騙されてるな。最高のカモだろ、詐欺師にとっちゃ。
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't expect this part to be we start talking about Nike and Adidas and end off with Sojiro falling prey to an MLM. Tobimaro slumped his shoulders in defeat. Ako, however, was already in full-on battle mode.
よし潰す。その後木の実は学校の旗のところに吊るす。
By his underwear, right?
え、直？今のセリフだと縄じゃなくて首？脊髄にぐっさり？
いや待て青崎、それだと辻褄が合わん。宗十郎は大金を持ってたんだよな。それじゃあカモとは呼べねえぞ。
Yeah.
そういえばそうだった。
Hmm.
木の実くんの発言に気を取られすぎて、あの大金のことを忘れてた。
Is he just recruiting so many people?
あれ？ってことはまさか。
ああ、騙されている側だったら金は減っていく。だが増えてるなら話は別だ。
Yeah, right?
宗十郎のやつはセールス側に回ってるんじゃないか。
信じられない。宗十郎が詐欺グループの一員になっているです。
はあ、まさかしずきに騙されるようなやつはいねえよ。だいたい嘘つけないじゃんあいつ。羽毛布団を売りさばくとか絶対無理だって。
だから宗十郎自身それが悪質な詐欺だと気づいてないんじゃないか。
ほう、なるほど、そりゃ納得だ。あの純真さんがお年寄りに大人気ってわけだな。やるじゃんしずき。今度会ったら俺もお裾分けしてもらった。
木の実くんの構成は今後の課題として、どうしよう飛丸、もう少し様子を見た方がいいと思う。仮にしずきくんが関わってたら彼にも詐欺罪が適用される。まだ未成年だけど。
あくまで従業員だから実刑はかからねえとは思うが、敵さんはあれで食ってる連中だからな。
This is scary.
宗十郎が雇われた時の契約書の内容次第だ。
This is true adult fear.
そうよね。下手したら宗十郎自身もう入会してるかもしれない。
Ako looked a lot more cool-headed now. Tobimaro had been serving with her on the student council for over a year. He knew exactly what she was thinking at a time like this.
入会していたら脱会は難しいな。あいつ本人にその気がなくともハンコの力は絶大だ。
Please read your contracts whenever you get a
そ
job.
れで青崎、どこまでやる気だ？
営業停止は最低ライン。進行は自由だって言うならよその土地でやってもらうまでよ。
だろうな。そんな顔してるぜお前さん。で宗十郎はどうする？とりあえず辞めさせるか？
当然。けどもう彼だけの問題じゃないわ。そもそもうちの生徒を雇おうとした時点で私たちの問題よ。しずきくんとは関係なしであの事務所潰すから。
いいけどな。厄介だぞあの手の連中は。サラ金と同じで法律上は何の問題もねえ。警察じゃせいぜい厳重注意レベル。下手に商売の邪魔をすれば損害賠償と言い出しかねえ。せいてはことを何とやらだ。
That's also scary because of Japan's conviction rate for crimes, you
分
know?
かってる。まずは会社の概要と社長の素性、構成員の数を調べながら被害者の洗い出し。
I was gonna say, we're not doing this, something's gonna happen. Aqua suddenly stopped talking in the middle of her detailed plans.
どうした青崎？
Tobimaro noticed right away what Aoko had spotted. Aoko was looking at the crowd on the street. A familiar young man, wearing a coat, was walking through the lively 2nd Street. He walked confidently up to the office building and disappeared inside. He hadn't seemed to notice the worried trio watching from the shadows. The young man, clearly Sojiro Shizuki, had just started his shift, still oblivious to the severity of the situation he was in. Aoko was shaking with rage.
落ち着け青崎。気持ちはわかるが、あいつに悪気はだな。
Theme of battle.
ああもうなんか無性に頭きた。
That's a good gif. I like that. Aoko raised her head in a fury and clenched her fists. She was no longer her usual calm and collected self. This was the student council president who ruled with an iron fist. Worth noting that this sounds like Tekken music, fueled by her own righteous indignation.
飛び丸、応援団の美濃先輩に連絡取って、今すぐこわもての団員20人ほど集めてきて、喧嘩になるかもしれないから、それなりの装備込みでって。
Oh my. Aoko darted into the main street as she barked her orders. She looked like an esteemed general charging into battle against an enemy squadron.
ミノって、応援団の団長のか。しかも20人って、お前一体何する気だ。
We getting the elite beat agents out here?
決まってるでしょ。殴り込みよう。まずは法律面での制裁からなんて考えが甘かった。学生騙して私服を肥やすような悪党には物理的な制裁で十分よ。何よ本物の光って。
That's a new
こんな
face.
しけた街で羽毛布団とか売ってんな。
待て落ち着け。さっきまでの平和的なプランはどこに行った。悪党を暴力で押さえつけていいのは警察だけだ。いいから戻りやがれ。
何よ、その警察が使えないから私たちが出張るんじゃない。文句あるならダイアン出せ。
文句はね、まず落ち着けって話だ。そもそもダイアンなんざ立てるまでもね。お前さん、さっきはどんな手を考えてたか口にしてみろ。
そんなのあんただって分かってるでしょ。あの会社の調査と並行して詐欺の被害に遭った人たちを探して、
This is going
私たちが間に
way,
入って連盟を作る。
way more and longer than I
ご
expected.
老人ばかりを標的にしてるのは、おじいさんたちは世間の事情に疎いと
I'm
見く
just
びって
waiting
るから
for
だろ
it
うし。
to be a surprise that that's not what that is, and that company moved away, and it's something
な
different.
んでおじいさんたちだけじゃ
We don't even know if it's
わからない
actually
問
them.
題を私たちでフォローしてあげれば被害者の会ぐらいは作れるわ。
よーし、その確かに一人一人で掛け合っても連中にとっちゃ痛くも痒くもね。それで契約をなかったことにして取られた金を取り戻すか。
それは無理でしょうね。契約書は絶対よ。頭くるけど書かれたことは覆らない。今からできるのはこれ以上の被害を抑えることだけ。
I'm expecting that Kinomi went in there
それ
and
と
grabbed him.
それと
可能な限り金銭を回収する。羽毛布団ならクーリングオフが適用されるはず。すべての返品は無理でもやるに越したことはないわ。
上出来だ。それで行こうぜ青崎。何もお前さんが悪役になる必要はね。せっかくの法治国家だ。平和的に解決しよう。
それはそうだけど、こんなの部外者だから言えることよ。詐欺に遭った人たちからすれば取られたものは取られたままなんだし。
それを気に
Yeah, Kinomi's gone. Something's gonna be up with him.
まずはクマリンに連絡しよう。あいつ商店街の娘だからな。被
Interesting.
害者の調査に向いているだろう。
小鹿にあんまり荒ごとに巻き込みたくないけど仕方ないか。オッケー、私の方から連絡する。飛び丸は美濃先輩への電話お願い。
あ、こっちの話なら応援
必要だってば。脅し要員だけじゃなくおじいさん間の連携に走ってもらわなくちゃ。
It's very weird to say like we need the cheer, we need the Oendons to be out here doing their poses for the old people.
先輩たちいかつい顔して優しいでしょ。クーリングオフは書面に起こすことが大前提。書類に弱いおじいさんたちの代わりに先輩たちに代筆してもらうのよ。
なるほど、そりゃいい。数の暴力だな。連中も20人からの返品は夢にも思ってねえだろうさ。
Aqua and Tobimaru both nodded in agreement. Kinomi had been completely left to the wayside in this whole discussion. Oh no, he's still
クー
here.
リングオフってなんだよ。俺聞いたことねえんだけど。
買った商品を返品して購入時の金額を返してもらうことよ。日本じゃ10年ぐらい前から正式
Interesting.
に
Okay,
採
because I
用
was
さ
gonna
れ
say
て
I've
るけど
never heard of this.
木の実くん聞いたことない？
いや全く。ただの返品と違うの。
同じだけどこっちは国が後ろ盾になってくれるわ。本物の光が砲を盾にするなら
Interesting.
こっちも砲で突き破るだけよ。
Never heard of that.
おじいさんた
I
ちも
wonder if
同
it's
じ
still
みのない
around.
話だろうからそこは私たちが代わりにやるってわけ。
In reality, only a very narrow range of products were applicable for the satisfactory period law, and it was currently unclear if those handled by the light of truth fell under that umbrella. If it was not applicable under this law, Aoko would have to think of another plan. However, not 30 minutes later, that worry would vanish when they got the chance to examine an actual quilt sold by the light of truth. Oh. Okay. Once Aoko had an established plan, she would still not waver from it. They had made a cafe with a view of the office building, their command center, and after they got together others from the student council for backup, their one-day blitz tactic plan began.
そうと決まれば迅速にね。二人とも連絡係よろしく。サクッと今日中に決着をつけましょう。
Tobimaru sighed at the thought of trying to complete everything in a day's time. Kinomi, on the other hand, wondered why he'd been dragged in for help. Although Tobimaru got Aoko to abandon the idea of physical fight, Aoko knew that the contract plan would be difficult to pull off and continued to research other options. There were many conditions that needed to be met for this plan to actually work. The major issue was the amount of time elapsed from the time of purchase. This is going so deep for something that we still don't know. That we still don't know if it's what it is. For consumable goods, the time limit for illegal return was 8 days. If there were 30 or so victims, that would probably only be applicable to 1 or 2 of them. If that was the case, they need to look for some other consumer protection besides the satisfaction clause.
何々？安価なものを不当な金額で売りつけた場合、
Oh.
暴利行為として公序良俗違反で契約が無効となる場合がある。ただし、公序良俗を根拠とする。疑わしきは罰せずが法廷の基本だし、水かけ論じゃこっちが不利だ。
This is way more laws than I would have expected. It was a difficult situation. They wouldn't be able to stand up to an experienced group of scam artists with their limited knowledge of the law. They'd need to fight fire with fire, or in this case, a scam with a scam.
騙し取られた金額分だけ美味しい
This
話で
is so
騙し取るって話
stupid.
か。
Why are you guys doing this? To do that, they need more intel. Ako was studying the materials they collected for something they could use.
お待たせ。とりあえず
That's
追加
your
候補 10
outfit.
人分の住所と布団の現物持ってきたわよ。
サンキュー。さすがくまり。本気出せば仕事の早いこと早いこと。
Ako took the list of victims from the student council secretary, Kojika Kumari, and immediately contacted Tobimaru on his pager. A frickin' pager. I forgot about their existence. Although pagers could only receive short messages like call me, they were a powerful means of communication in an age where people relied on public phones. Tobimaru called the cafe to give Aoko an update and hear the list of newly discovered victims.
被害者の会はできたのね。仕切りは青山くんにやらせて。一応相手への牽制として名刺も作ってくれると助かる。事務局はほら文化祭の時に作った偽団体あるじゃない？あそこの電話番号にしておいて。電話番は山城先生に頼み込むわ。
This is so much for something that we still don't 100% know if it's fake. The victims advocacy group was currently at over just 10 members. The group's aim was to help the victims of the scam get their money back and remove themselves from the light of truth. Some of the victims had not even realized they'd been scammed, so I guess we must be going on the assumption, or well, the truth that it must be a problem then. So with some explanation, about 10 more members were added. It helped that it was polite young, well-dressed students who were giving them this information. The elderly generally seemed to be more accepting of anyone who was around the age of their grandchildren.
にしてもよくここまで調べたもんだわ。否定の20人なんてあっという間だったわね。
あんたの言う条件が分かりやすかったから。60過ぎのご老人で一人暮らしで町内会に入っていない人を探せばよかったんだし、やってることは本物の光の販売員と一緒。
でもこんなんでなんとかなる話じゃないと思うけど、結局のところ抗議するのが関の山じゃ。青崎、ちょっと何薄気味悪い顔で笑ってるのよ。
Alko looked up after being called out by her friend.
いやー、面白いもん見つけちゃって、成果の乏しい戦いになると思ってたけど、風向きが変わったわ。ほら見てクマ、この羽毛布団のマーク。
Wait. Alko showed the product label sewn into the down quilt. There on the tag was what looked like the Japanese Industrial Standards logo. The Japanese Industrial Standards help maintain the quality of industrial products in Japan. Products with this mark were required to be produced in accordance with the Industrial Standardization Law.
あれ JLS？ そう、こうなると契約書が逆に武器になる。百戦錬磨かと思ったけど、実際はウサギしか相手にしない素人ってこと。ええ、うまく話を持っていけば全額返済も夢じゃないわ。
This is such a
勝利の勝ち
strange...
時はさぞ気持ちのいいものになるでしょうね。
I was so into this whole thing, and now it's kind of just petering out into me not caring as much. Once it took this turn, I wanted her to go in there guns blazing. Alko took a seat, still grinning from ear to ear. She didn't ring Tobimara's pager. Instead, she dialed a different number on the red phone while humming to herself. Alko heard the familiar ringing tone through the receiver.
青崎、築地に連絡入れるんじゃないの？作戦が変わったって。それは後。今大事なのは交渉役を誰にするかよ。私や飛丸じゃさすがに貫禄不足だしね。こっちが有利になったとしてもまだ状況は五分だし、会話次第じゃひっくり返されるだろうから。被害者の会の代表はそれはもう少年のひん曲がった悪魔でないと。
You're not getting Alice, are you?
それあんたのことだと思うんだけど。
Or wait, are we gonna bring this back and get Kitschy Man?
こういうのは社会的立場のある大人じゃないと務まりません。安心してくまり。ぴったりのやつを知ってるから。ま、詐欺師には詐欺師ってね。この町には人を言いまかすのだけが仕事のやつって言っちゃったりするのよ。
Oh wait, never mind.
今日もやることなくて暇してるだろうし、たまには働いてもらわないと。彼女にかかっちゃサラ金だろうが教祖だろうが、1時間で精神崩壊。
Okay, it is Alice. Alko kept the phone receiver at her ear as she delivered these cutting remarks. The ringing tone had long since gone silent.
もしもし、まさかとは思いますが、今の話は私のことでしょうか。
Never mind. This is someone else. An eloquent woman's voice could be heard from the phone's earpiece. Alko innocently said her greetings and smiled like a hunter who had just gotten their prey to take the bait. This is characters who we haven't seen forever.
常々思っていましたが、あなたには年長者への敬意が足りていないようですね。青。
Tobimar and Kinomi had returned from their tasks and stood there wide-eyed. The person Alko had invited to the cafe looked so out of place that it was a shock to everyone.
はーい、ゆいかさん。事情は電話で説明したけど、もう少し詳しく説明する？
結構です。本物の光のことは先ほど律香から報告を受けましたから、あなたに享受していただく事柄は一つもありません。
ありゃま、ご機嫌斜め。よかった。そのテンションのまんま勝ち込みお願いね。一般人の一人や二人、ゆいかさんが本性を出せば睨むだけでそっとさせられるでしょ。
Do we call it a glare if she doesn't see?
そうなの？このお姉さん、間教会のシスターさんだよね。俺密かに憧れてたんですけど。
I'm sure you look down at her too, buddy.
いや、そんな場合じゃねえ。どうも、木の実ホウスケっす。青崎さんとはあんまり仲良くありません。
Kinomi was clearly trying to earn points by showing that he was not that friendly with Alko. Sister Yuika gave him a angelic smile
こ
back.
れはご丁寧に。間教会で装飾を務める須瀬ゆいかです。はじめまして、ホウスケさん。
いやー、すんげえ。本当にシスターだよ、シスター。会長、とんでもない隠し玉連れてきたな。あれ？でもゆいかさんに何してもらうの？いや、応援してくれるだけで嬉しいけど。
He's like, I'm fine with a blind nun being around us. It's fine.
まあ だいたい想像できるが。はじめまして、シスターユイカ。三崎高校生徒会副会長、築地飛丸です。
Tiopmaniac didn't look so well. Perhaps he figured out where this course of events was headed. The JLS label was indeed illegal. This discovery made Aoko realize how they could get the victim's money back and run the light of truth out of town completely. Sister Yuika, it's a tough name, was her solution.
てっきり証拠に物を言わせて訴えられたくなければ示談で済ませろ、全額返して出て行けって話かと思ったが、恐ろしい女だぜ。追い出すだけじゃなくスカンピンにして放り出そうって腹か。
は？なんでそうなの？
Yeah, what are we doing?
美人なだけじゃなくシスターさんってそんな権利持ってるの？
シスターさんがじゃなくてユイカさんの人間力と言うべきね。はい、
Really?
これ被害者の会からの連名書。一応うちの応援団の先輩たちも待機してるけど、何人か連れていく？
そうですね。逆上して手を挙げられては後片付けが面倒ですので、抑止力として5人ほど。あとは青子さんが同行してくれるのでしたら、私としては不満はありません。
え？どういうこと？もしかしてシスターさんが話つけに行くの？
いいの。ユイカさんはこう見えて荒事の専門家なんだから。ねえ。
Really? Why?
あなたほどではありませんが。いいでしょう。今回は利益が一致します。あの事務所の方々が違法を働いているのは事実ですから、罪には罰を。善良な人々を、特に私たちの同胞を苦しめた手合いには相応の痛みが必要です。
さすが泣く子も黙る鬼のシスター。期待してるわ。昔から商売敵を潰すのは得意だからね。
What is this?
あなたたち。
What does she do in her spare time?
言われるまでもありません。一つの土地に二つの教えがあっては迷惑です。
Oh! Oh, you just want to get rid of the competition of a spiritual movement. She just wants to convert everyone to Catholicism. Though the two continued to antagonize each other, they entered the office building fighting for the same team. The 5 burly members of the cheer team filed in behind them. They had left behind a glum Tobimaru and a completely clueless Kinomi.
わかんねえ。青崎、あの美人さんに何やらせる気なんだよ。
そりゃお前、口にはできない残虐行為だろ。違法販売をネタにして契約解除をさせた後に告訴するって流れ。
Okay.
訴えるのはシスターの役目だな。立場上、学生である青崎よりシスターの方がお題目が立つ。何よりあの教会、たまに嫌な噂を聞くしな。連中、
Oh.
食べた財産根こそぎ取られるだけで済めばいいが。
Using some of the power of the church. And with a church with the capital C. After taking a few deep breaths, Tobimaru also headed towards the office building.
え？天下も事務所に行くの？怖くない？
行かねえよ、おっかねえ。俺のはちょっとした野暮用だ。てめえも補習に戻れよ。今日の礼はまた改めてくれてやるから。
ばっか、補習なんてもう終わってるじゃんか。気がつけばもうすぐ夕方だぜ、夕方。
違いない。あっという間の半日だった。
Tobimaru waved goodbye and disappeared into the office building.
Huh?
Kinomi thought it was strange, since Tobimaru said he wasn't going in there. However, he left as well after hearing a noise that sounded like glass breaking on the 3rd floor of the office building. A wise man never courts danger, as they say. The discussion ended without any major issues. The inside of the office was mostly untouched, only the center line of desks had been pulverized by Sister Yuika. Things had been resolved peacefully without any bloodshed. The office had been conquered in about an hour, and Aoko was now surveying it. A large desk had gone right through the window, flung through the air with a single swing of Sister Yuika's hand. The sales staff were This is a Yakuza side quest. This whole thing is a Yakuza side quest, including using the one-handed desk being thrown technique. The sales staff were shaking the corner like they'd seen the devil incarnate. Sister Yuika brought in the 5 members of the cheer team to seize the office's permits and other important documents.
あれ
Unfortunately, the one thing Aoko was looking for was nowhere to be found. She went in to ask the sales staff still quivering in the corner of the room.
ちょっと3時間ぐらい前ここに人畜無害そうなの来なかった？ビルから出てきてないからまだ中にいると思うんだけど。
Everyone shook their heads no. Nobody had seen a student who fit that description in the office. Oh no, none of this was for him. Is he just somewhere else? Aoko was looking even more confused at this point.
でもな。
She was still happy that she'd done a good deed here today. Tobimar entered the office building and headed straight down the hallway. He glanced at the stairs in front of him as he walked by, passing several tenants and heading towards the emergency exit at the back of the building. Tobimar knew the geography of 2nd Street well. If his memory served correctly, there were some old one-story houses behind this building that had been around forever. They were old, tin-roofed rental houses that stood against the tides of time. Though overshadowed by the recent trend of 2-story apartments, they were still there, alive and kicking. At the back of the office building, there was a river for processing wastewater. Beyond the river and a fence, there were many one-story houses. Next to the building, there was a bridge that crossed over to the other side. It was a shortcut only neighborhood locals would know about.
なるほど。大したショートカットだ。地図なんて当てになんねえな。
As Tobimaro walked towards the bridge, he saw a familiar face exit one of the old tin-roof houses. The young man was wearing a coat and was without a doubt Sojiro Shizuki.
明日もまた来ておくれね。
Sojiro crossed the bridge while the old woman who resided there saw him off.
あれ副会長
Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I didn't say it, and nobody's gonna believe me. But I honestly, one of the things I thought was, is he just hanging out with an old woman who's gonna be there to remind him of like a grandson, and like and she just keeps giving the money as like a gift or something, like old people do?
ああ、奇遇だな、色男。
The two exchanged glances as they crossed paths on the bridge. Sojiro looked fairly spent. That was all Tobimaro needed to see. Sojiro's new job was a lot harder than working for any scam artists. It's gonna be an old woman, right? Who's sad that she lost the grandson, and so he goes to talk to her, and yeah. They both stopped to talk on the
あの
footbridge.
辺りに親戚でもいんのか？
いやいない。一つ手に紹介されておばあさんの話し相手をしていただけだ。
Yep. For some reason, Sojiro readily revealed what he had refused to tell Aoko.
そんな気軽に話していいのか？守秘義務とかありそうだが。
いや、秘密にしなくちゃいけない話でもないんだ。ただ、話しちゃいけない気がしただけで。
Beautiful shot. Beautiful CG.
飛び丸には出てくるところを見られたし、正直、誰かに言いたい気持ちはあった。
Leaning on the rail of the footbridge, Tobimaro urged him to go on. It turned out that Sojiro's story was nothing out of the ordinary. His new part-time job was to be a home helper in that old one-story house. This resident was a widow who had been left all alone after her son moved off to the city.
はじめはただのお手伝いだったんだけどね。
He spoke with a troubled, slightly regretful smile. Maybe he was ashamed of something he'd done. There was a tinge of darkness behind that wry, tormented smile on his face. Tobimaro found himself surprised at his own thoughts and slapped himself lightly on the cheek. That was his way of punishing himself. He wasn't sure why his imagination was running so wild now.
珍しく浮かない顔だが。あれか？出て行った息子さんとやらに文句があるのか？かい。
どうだろう。確かにおかしな話だとは思う。けど、俺はその息子さんを責める気にはなれない。だってそれは。
Sojiro stopped himself mid-sentence. He didn't think the son hated his mother so much as he did the town. He'd probably just found somewhere better to live and moved away. Sojiro swallowed those bitter words. Dang!
お手伝いの料金は初めに全部もらってたんだ。
Whoa!
今月だけという話なのに、10万円は高すぎると思う。
He trailed off, muttering that he really didn't need that much money. The old woman had thanked him for his honesty. That was part of Sojiro's appeal, most likely. In a matter of days, the old woman put all her trust into Sojiro and treated him like her own grandson. Yep.
それは素直に嬉しいんだけど。
As soon as I said it needs a nice, kind young man, I kind of figured out this is what it was going to be. She always saw him off with a smile and asked him to return tomorrow. Every time he left, yep, she gave him a stack of cash in the hope that he wouldn't forget her.
あ？それだけで大金もらってたのか？
うん。お孫さんの代わりをしてほしいと言われた。
That is so sad.
あなたは信じられるから これで孫のように振る舞ってくれって。
That is really sad.
なんだそりゃ。少しも信じてねえよそれ。金で動く孫がいるか。
いや、おばあさんはヘルパーさんにはお金は払わないと言った。信頼できないから。あのおばあさんが信じられるのはお金だけなんだ。
She seemed to have some quirks about her, probably because she'd been living alone for so long. By this point, she'd lost all faith in the goodwill of humankind. To her, the bonds of family were nothing but fantasy. After being cast aside by her own family for so many years, the only thing that remained faithful to her was the money she'd saved. Oh, now I feel bad about the money can't buy happiness comments from earlier. Jesus. Over time, this led to her developing a strange complex. For her, the money she'd scrimped and saved, the last thing she could rely on, was the only way she could conceive people of keeping someone in her life. Jeez. Oh my god. I feel terrible for my comments before.
バカらしい。それって結局、金で雇った他人じゃねえか。
それはおばあさんが誰よりも分かってるよ。でも、偽物だと分かっていても、それぐらいしか信じられるものはなかったんだ。
Man.
おばあさんにとって家に寄りつかなくなったお孫さんは今一番欲しいものだから。
Oh.
その代償として彼女が一番信用できるものを真心として渡してくれたんだ。
My man's getting the city experience all right. He wasn't buying him though. She just trusted Sojiro from the bottom of her heart and was thanking him the only way she knew how. She didn't realize how that looked from other people's perspectives.
また厄介な事情に首突っ込んだもんだ。まあ、あんまり深く思い詰めるな。いい話じゃねえか。命より金が大事だったばあさんが、今になって思い出の方に転んだわけだ。
そうかな。そうだといいけど。
It was obvious from Sojiro's expression that all this still weighed heavily on him.
なんだよ、煮え切らねえな。どうせお前さんのことだ。もらった金は一銭も使ってねえんだろ。んなことしてりゃ、いずれ年金も底をつく。
Oh.
そうなった時に丸々返すつもりだから、青崎にも黙ってたんじゃないのか。
And that's why Kinomi got the money too, because for her, it's nothing to give it away to get a chance at like a grandson.
なんで飛び丸がそんなこと知ってるんだ？
まあ、いや、なんとなくそんな気がした。
Good save, good save. Tobimaru decided it was not best to tell Sojiro about all the trouble they went through for him today. He knew Aoko would only make him regret it later if he did.
そっか。でも、この話の一番難しいところはね。
What's the worst
そ
thing?
の人にはお孫さんはいなかったんだ。
Oh.
は？
After a few moments of surprise, Tobimaru let out a sigh. He understood. Being widowed with a son who's moved to the city and grandchildren who never visit, that was a normal, full and rich life. Sometimes, however, a person's dreams were all that kept them going. The bottom is limitless. For every tragic life, there is another even more tragic one than that.
時々油断すると思うんだ。みんな幸福そうに見えるのに、裏を覗くとそうでもないのはなんでだろうって。
Whoa.
なんか街全体に騙されてるみたいだ。
It's like there's like a texture of happiness on the town that when you wash away, it reveals the sadness beneath it. Tobimaru leaned over the railing and looked down at the bustling town below. In the end, Sojiro's worries stemmed from his feeling lost in this environment. The woman who walked through life alone into old age. Tobimaru's struggle with being antagonized by his entire family. Those were both personal matters. Sojiro's problems stemmed from the nebulous entity of the town itself. For every bit of progress made through modernization, there was also people left in growing misfortune. It didn't matter whether they were unequal in wealth or compassion, it was all the same. The larger a town grows, the harder it becomes for the weak to thrive. For a young man who spent his day in the countryside where everyone helped each other, this was hard to understand.
宗十郎、お前、この町は好きか？
まだわからない。そういう飛び丸は？
まあ似たようなもんだ。 好き嫌いも半々で、たまに
What an
何もかもどうでもよくなる時はある。
what an interesting concept. The city being the antagonist at times, but not in a active way, but a passive way. The concept of the city.
だがまあ、お前さんとは真逆だな。
I feel like you could only do that in this specific time period. You could, like, nowadays, you couldn't have that as a story. You couldn't have one set in the modern time. But in this time period where the game is set, what a time to have the idea of the concept of a city be a force going against the characters.
俺はこの町のおかげで、てめえの悩みなんざ無視できる。ここに比べりゃマシだってな。空虚であろうと、この忙しさ、節操のなさは捨てたもんじゃねえってな。
ここに比べたらマシ？
ああ、違うな。マシというよりはありって感じか。バイトしてればたまに思うだろ。街ってのは隙間を作らないように回ってるんだ。
It's damn true.
欠席にしろ空席に
For
しろ。
better or for
空きができ
worse.
たらすぐに埋められるようにできている。当たり前のようで、こいつはよくできた共同体なんだよ。昨日までは誰でもなかった他人が、明日には必要な隣人になってるかもしれない。
Mm-hmm.
昨日まではなかった街角に、新しい建物ができていることもある。まるで毎日が切った縫ったの大手術だ。それでもうまく回ってることに、真剣に感心する。本当に何かの弾みで思うんだよ。俺はてめえだけで生きてるんじゃなくて、どうでもいい誰かのどうでもいい頑張りのおかげでこうして管負けてるんだってな。持ちつ持たれつだ。そういう巡り合わせを成立させているだけでもどんなバランスなんだって呆れるわけだ。
Just as the mountains are alive, so is the city. Tobimaru didn't seem to like the way that living creature had manifested itself, but even still,
そうか。敬意を払ってるんだな。
まあ、照れくさいがそういうこと。
as someone who was born and raised in the city, Tobimaru was thankful that complete strangers were able to help each other out.
つうか、お前さんは贅沢すぎる。初めから好きなところに住めるやつなんていねえだろ。
It's true.
生まれる場所は選べねえしな。単純な話、自分が住むって決めたところを好きになるしかねえってことだ。
Kinda true.
の
Tobimaru gave Sojiro's back a hard slap. Made Sojiro straighten up his posture and snap him out of his slump a bit.
でも飛び丸、そこに住むって決めても好きになれなかったらどうするんだ？
どうしても好きになれないやつは
Mm-hmm.
違う土地に行けばいい。
Yep.
嫌なら逃げてもいいんだよ。
Mm-hmm.
放浪するのも人生だぜ。
Sojiro was so impressed with Tobimaru's words he couldn't speak. He gave him a new perspective. It wasn't just the words "don't be scared to run away from a bad place." What had really left a strong impression was Tobimaru's confidence. Although he'd been born in this town, he spoke freely of abandoning it.
飛び丸から逃げるなんて言葉が出るとは思わなかった。
逃げる先があるなら逃げてもいいだろって話。そりゃ勝ちとか成功とかそういう言葉に固執するのも悪くはねえさ。だが俺にはどうも勝ち続けるっていうのは固まるってことに見える。息苦しくてしょうがない。青崎みたいにがんじがらめになっても突き進むパワーもねえしな。心情は軽い方がいいだろうよ。
ん？人生は軽い方がいいのか？
いや、軽いとか手堅いとかそういうんじゃなくて、俺はもっとこうロマンあふれるっつうか。
Tobimaru furrowed his brow at his inability to find the proper words. What he wanted was simple.
そうだな。俺はきっと笑える人生が送りたいんだ。
That was how he saw life. Tobimaru tried his best to put into his words his thoughts, hoping his friend would find them useful.
漫才師か？
Tobimaru's shoulders slumped in disappointment. But even so,
そんなもんか。
the more I thought about it, the more I realized that Sojiro wasn't really wrong. There's no end to human desire. The perfect life was an unattainable dream. The only way to really win was to be able to say with your dying breath that you truly enjoyed living.
たく、青崎の影響かね。考えなしのバクとかっていうの。あいつ、ボニー&クライドとか大好きなんだろうな。
You know he doesn't know who those are. Tobimaru tiredly scratched his head. He never would have said something like this last year, considering how pessimistic he had been then.
ともかくだ。他人の事情にいちいち落ち込んでるようじゃ。いや、実際もう暮れかけてるけどな。とんだ道草だ。
そうか。引き止めてすまなかった。飛びまる。
俺もおとなしく家に帰るとするか。そっちも日が落ちる前に帰れよ。何をしていたか聞かれたら隠さず事情は説明しとけ。その話、お前が思ってるほどひでえ話じゃねえから。
Sojiro frowned and fell silent. He still hadn't come to terms with his arrangement with that old woman yet. If he hadn't gone there in the first place, she might not have felt like anything was missing from her life. That feeling of regret was exactly why he wanted to talk to someone.
お前、残酷なことをしたと思ってんだろ。ばあさんの人生に今からじゃ取り戻せないものを見せつけた。どうかな。
Sojiro was stunned into silence. Tobimaru knew exactly what Sojiro regretted.
そりゃ違う。思い上がりだぜ、宗次郎。
Yeah, it's kind of a selfish thing to think.
いいか、そのばあさんも自分は人生に失敗したなんて思ってんなら、幸い金は腐るほどあるんだろう。なら、思いっきり人助けをさせてみろ。
True.
金で救える不
Do
幸な
some
んて山
good.
ほどあるだろう。
Convince her to become Japan's Mr. Beast.
で、ばあさんがどんなもんだと胸を張れたんなら、それは間違いなくいい仕事だ。
それはおばあさんの苦しみを解決していない。
解決できねえ問題は放っておけ。そのばあさんには今他に解
That
決
is
できる
very
問題があるんだから。
Don't
それでいいじゃねえか。
Don't worry about stuff you have no influence over.
悪いけどお金はこれから世のため人のため自分のために使うから返しておくれ。となったらばあさんの勝ち。偽物の孫なんざよりよっぽどいい生きがいに目覚めたわけだな。しかしこれで満足したから残りはやっぱりもらっておくれ。といえばお前さんの勝ち。ばあさんにとってはやっぱり孫の方がいいってことで、そん時は大手を振って大金持って帰りやがれ。
I think that's not a scam. That's not a bad thing to say, absolutely.
なるほど。
Sojiro clapped his hands together. He was finally able to accept these conditions as fair.
すまない。ありがとう、飛び丸。
His smile was no longer bitter. He would do whatever he could to help that old woman choose to assist others in need. Tobimaru thought that such unwavering confidence was a sign of true freedom.
気にするな。礼を言うならお互い様だ。じゃあな、宗次郎。休み明けにまた学校で。
His goodbye wasn't the friendliest, but Sojiro didn't mind. He ran home with a big smile on his face. Tobimaru's smile was a bit less carefree as he left the footbridge. The time was 4:30 in the evening. Night would soon fall over the midwinter landscape.
Tadaima. 今夜はまた一段と冷えるね。
Aoko and Alice were both in the drawing room when he returned. Neither of them had eaten dinner yet. Aoko looked displeased. Alice sat uncomfortably on the sofa.
あれ、もしかしてこっちの帰りを待っていたのか？
Alice quietly affirmed his assumption. Aoko vehemently denied it.
青崎、俺の気のせいならいいんだけど、なんだか昨夜以上にどうかしてないか？
Sojiro had gotten slightly better at reading the room, but he still had difficulty choosing the right words. I'll show you worked up, was what she wanted to say, but she stopped herself. She wasn't actually all that angry with Sojiro, but
どうかしてるの、青子。
してないわよ。してるのは宗十郎の方だっていうの。
Alice's additional remarks seemed to have been the tipping point. Sojiro thought this showed that she was indeed worked up about something.
しずきくんがどうかしたの？
Puppy dog face.
彼、
Sad puppy
今夜
dog
は比較的
face.
まともだけど。
This is his I just learned about racism face. Sojiro felt like that was pretty offensive too, but let it slide.
もう分かったわよ。そっちから切り出すまで黙っていようと思ったけど、私の方から聞いてあげる。宗十郎、あんた本物の光って名前に聞き覚えはない？
いや、全く。初めて聞いた。
でしょうね。名簿にあんたの名前はなかったもの。なんだってあんな感
You
じ
still did something good.
骨折り損とまではいかないけど、また良くない評判立てちゃった。
Aoko let out an exaggerated sigh and flopped down onto the sofa. Seeing Aoko in this weakened state as an opportunity, the blue robin flew jauntily down from the sunroom.
見てたっす。自分見てたっす。
Oh, mince pies, that's eyes.
ご近所じゃもうおひれつきまくりっす。青崎さんとこの娘さんがまた指一本で見せつぶしたとかマジパニー。
The robin continued to chatter praise for Aoko's deeds of valor. There he goes! Aoko knocked it away with a flick of her finger, quarter circle back and light there, and picked herself up off the sofa.
今日はお金持ってないわね。例のアルバイトはもう終わったの？
いや、まだ続いているよ。あのお金は預かり物だから、朝のうちに口座を作って預けておいた。
預かり物？
Nice.
そう、預かり物。
Oh.
きっと全額返すことになる。
Sojiro took off his coat and began talking about his job as a home helper. He kept it simple, explaining how things began and the conclusion he'd come up to with Tobimaru earlier. Aoko seemed stunned by the outlandish circumstances, but in the end...
はいはい、やっぱりね。安心したっていうか、がっかりしたっていうか。
She was back to her usual offensive self. However, there was another girl in the room who had at this point gone pale.
ということは、待って。ということは、それはしずきくんのお金ではないの？
Why did that play twice? That was very strange. Have you been taking the money?
あ、人様のお金だよ。
What did you do?
アリス？なんかとんでもない顔してるけど、どうかした？
What did you do?
それがどうかはしてないけど。
Oh.
はい？
Alice handed out menus for the local soba noodle shop and cafe. The blood drained from Aoko's face as she took everything in. Alice quietly passed her a small note. Very sheepish face. On it was a hastily written order that was more than enough food for the three of them.
まさかもう注文を？
Hey, you got leftovers.
だって、そろそろごちそうのタイミングかと思って。
Alice's accusing gaze fell on Sojiro.
え、俺？なんで？
そりゃあんたがいらない期待を持たせたからでしょう。アリス、あんなに喜んでたじゃない。明日
She
は
did
ごち
say
そうね
that.
って。
Sojiro clapped his hands together for the second time today. You remember that Alice had said that yesterday.
ええ、あの夜。
Alice was eager to emphasize that this was not her fault.
いや、それは。
そうね。アリスのミスなのは確かだけど、悪いのはあんたもよ。いい教訓になったんじゃない？観念して二人で感情折半しなさいよ。
the two of them.
いや、それはできない。あのお金は預けてきたし、そもそも500円しか持ち合
A
わせない。
man is walking around with $5 on him.
そう。合わせても足りないわね。試したことはないけど、出前にキャンセルは効くのかしら。
How much did you order? An air of despair fell upon the Kuonji estate. Aoko sighed as if none of this involved her. She hated to coddle them, but perhaps this was her fate.
そうなるか。いいわよ。私が出してあげる。今日は臨時収入があったから、パーッと派手に使いましょう。
Ako's sudden proposal made both Sojiro and Alice perk up.
つまり、青崎のおごり。